Simpsons Index, an online spreadsheet that is also a podcast. This is the podcast.
Hello, podcast listeners, and welcome to the Simpsons Index, episode 66. I'm your host, Elliot J. O'Neill, and this is our first interstate show. Yes, I'm coming to you from glorious sunny Adelaide, and I am joined by Nick.
Hello.
And James.
Yep, that's me.
Fellow Simpsons podcasters from Podcasts in the Key of Springfield. Thanks for having me over, guys.
No worries, man.
And joining us for the Simpsons Index, the podcast where we watch and review 3 episodes of The Simpsons at a time. But the catch is, each episode comes from a different decade. Much different from the format of your show, where you guys are going through chronologically, hey?
Chronologically, 2 episodes at a time for us.
Yep.
And then occasionally we'll go and watch Do the Bartman and carry on about that.
Yeah.
No, I was just saying to these guys, I love the Eat My Shorts episodes that you guys do. You did one about Deep, Deep Trouble, which is a profoundly weird song, isn't it?
A profoundly weird song that we turned into a profoundly weird episode. I feel like we really did it justice.
So that's Pods in the Key of Springfield. Subscribe on iTunes. Okay, we're done now, aren't we? We can just leave.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I'm going to get up and go.
So, yeah, it's a bit different for you because, yeah, we cross the whole plane of the Simpsons catalog.
Totally.
And just now we did a very recent episode. This was season 29, episode 6. The old blue mare, she ain't what she used to be.
Yeah, it was like a horrifying look into our future.
This was first released in November of 2017, so like 2 weeks ago. And it was written by Tom Gamble and Max Pross. I don't know if you guys are Seinfeld fans. Yeah, these guys like wrote some of the best episodes from, I think, season 6 to 9 on Seinfeld.
He's on a lot of the DVD commentaries on The Simpsons, like way back as well. He's got that great like gravel voice, like, "Hey, I'm Tom Gamble."
Yeah, the Tom Gamble voice. Hey, hey.
Oh, that guy.
Yeah.
I remember that guy now from the bonus features on Seinfeld DVDs.
Yeah.
Sick.
He sounds like cigarettes.
He does.
It's
a combination of too many cigarettes and like that Boomhauer from King of the Hill way of just running the words into each other.
Is he possibly the only person to make Julie Kavner jealous of someone else's rough voice?
Yeah, if she carks it, they'll bring him in to do much and they'll just like pitch up his voice.
They should call him Tom Gravel. There we go.
Hey.
Oh.
That's better than any joke that was in this episode.
I just noticed you do have a Seinfeld poster up there.
Yeah, no, my sister got that for me for my birthday last year. It is a hand-drawn map of the Seinfeld apartment.
Oh, that's awesome. Anyway, back to The Simpsons, unfortunately, because this episode kind of sucked. In this episode, Marge becomes the mayor, and a bunch of shit happens. Guys, what did you think?
Didn't much care for it.
Yeah.
As it turns out.
This episode felt like an episode that was written by some people that had watched seasons 3 and 4 of The Simpsons and then went, man, there were some great jokes. We should just use all of those again.
Yeah, just right out the bat, just rolling out the monorail thing again, just by mentioning it like it's going to play and be funny again.
Yeah,
Marge
totally.
versus the monorail might be the very best episode of The Simpsons, I think.
It's the Breath of the Wild of The Simpsons.
It is, yes. It is the Zelda Breath of the Wild of The Simpsons.
Yeah, well, it got a unanimous cubic zirconia from our panel. We absolutely loved it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so starting out with the questionnaire, Nick, for better or worse, what's a joke that stood out to you?
There were actually a couple of things that I properly laughed out loud at, I have to say. My favourite thing that stood out to me was there is a cutaway fantasy sequence where Homer is demolishing the Flanders house.
Yep.
And he's got this really weird, like, Panzer-style German World War II kind of tank that's got a really pointy end on the end of it. Like, imagine a cannon on the front of a tank, but then on the end of it is basically a tiny triangle.
Yeah.
And the first hit that he does to Flanders' house completely fucks it. And it caught me so off guard that I really, really enjoyed that one.
No, it was a funny cutaway joke. They may have like overstepped it a bit with like Jesus coming down and the whole Homer saying pick a side. Like,
yeah, that was.
He teams up with Jesus and they destroy Flanders' house together, and it's fucked. It's bad.
It's I mean, why did Jesus have to become involved?
But the initial like cutaway and then the smashing, and then I even liked how it came back and Homer was just like, haha, wait, where'd everyone go?
Yes,
that was decent. James, for better or worse, what's a joke that stood out to you?
Closest thing I have in my notes looking over is that I liked the visual gag of Lenny having a pet crocodile or possibly an alligator, mostly because it made me think of crazy Australian politician Bob Catter, who this week went on a strange rant about how
fascinating.
he could not put energy into supporting gay marriage because every 3 months somebody in Queensland gets eaten by a crocodile.
And the switch in his voice tone in that is just amazing. Oh, I mean, let 1,000 blossoms, but I'm not going to waste any more time on it.
He sounds like Tom Gamble. Let people have their sexual proclivities.
Oh, that's great.
What a piece of shit.
But yeah, he's given Rock Bottom, the Simpsons meme page, like 2 weeks of material.
Oh, isn't
Do you guys follow that?
Great? Yeah, totally.
Yeah, you can pause and you can see the moment where he switches to getting angry about Crocs.
I saw one the other day. I'm not sure if it was Rock Bottom or one of the other meme pages, but they had Bob Catter superimposed on Lyle Landley in front of the blackboard, and it said, cooked equals fucked, government equals government. And I was like, fuck, that's good. Yeah. Also, sorry to come on your podcast and then start explaining memes. That feels like a weird thing to do.
No, we've actually given a lot of our American listeners an insight into Rock Bottom because it's mostly an Australian page, but like every American that I direct there is just endlessly fascinated about our obsession with Tobias. Like
Australian Simpsons shitposting is next level.
Yes. So good. Like Tobias has become a character all on his own, separate from what he was in The Simpsons.
Absolutely.
Just MDMA taking, VB swilling, calling everyone a cunt. Like
this page that I follow for the last few days has been entirely focused on the feud between Melbourne and Sydney.
Yeah.
And just Simpsons memes about which is the better city.
As a Sydney resident, I say Melbourne.
Yeah.
Melbourne doesn't have fucking stupid ass lockout laws.
I mean, Melbourne's the clear winner, but you know.
Yeah.
And I've been trying to come up with a good Adelaide one, but I don't know. We're just sort of off to the side observing and snickering.
Speaking of being off to the side and observing, quick question to you, James.
Sure.
I know that we have both listened to several episodes of The Simpsons Index. Did you completely forget that there was a quiz that Elliot runs through? Because I'm not prepared for any of these questions.
Yeah. Looking at my notes, like, I didn't enjoy anything. What am I going to talk about here?
It's not an intensive quiz. I'm not going to ask any trivia or anything.
All right. If I fail the quiz, am I still allowed to have another beer?
You can always have another beer. That's what makes the Simpsons Index so entertaining.
Thanks.
So, you know, in our podcast, we'd usually be talking about like Dr. Colossus or, you know, which background characters we think live interesting lives.
No, I've been enjoying your deep dives into the Dr. Colossus theory and
Was Dr. Colossus involved in this one? Maybe he activated that monorail right at the start. I don't know.
Because the monorail did kind of come back to life. Because for some reason they still had one of the carriages there.
Yeah.
And then it destroyed. So the monorail, they turned the track into like a nature walk, which actually, as a concept, I thought was a pretty good starting point for an episode.
Yeah, one they immediately abandoned.
One that they immediately abandoned. And then the monorail came back to life and smashed through the walk and
kills the monorail scientist, who is not Batman. By the way, otherwise he probably would have gotten away.
Good point.
Just like in Batman Begins, he's on that train, he leaps out. It's a weird connection for me to be making, but I'm trying to get something out of this.
Who's in Batman Begins? Is Michael Caine in
Michael
Batman?
Caine, is that you?
Is he in? Am I in Batman Begins?
Michael, this is not your podcast. You need to let Elliot.
Sorry.
Take the reins, I think.
Well, no, I like that you brought up the monorail thing because, it was just such a crazy turn. And I liked how, like, they sort of brought it back to do this skywalk thing, which is actually, like, a cool concept for the episode, I thought. But then
actually a pretty cool concept for life, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like, I was looking at it going, I'm pretty jealous of that.
It looked fucking ugly, I thought. It looked like a children's playground. There's, like, a ball pitch and a...
Yeah, but I have a very low attention span and IQ. I love children's playgrounds.
One thing I was thinking throughout the entire episode, actually, is just... Is the drawing quality noticeably worse in these seasons?
It's actually weird. You know, the animation looks slicker, but the character models are so off and off. Like, they looked like they were really rushed at times.
Just like sizing doesn't look right. There seems to be very few frames of animation in a lot of the scenes.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a scene where Homer was hugging Marge and they looked way out of proportion from what I've grown to know. And
but on the monorail thing, like, what really bugged me was, then they activated the monorail and you're like, here we go. And then they kill I forgot his name, haircut guy. Like
haircut guy. I'm pretty sure his name's haircut guy.
That's haircut. Sorry.
That was just
Perfect line.
unnecessary and it wasn't funny. James, for better or worse, what's a story point that stood out for you in this episode?
Well, for worse, what bothers... This is like I feel like a classic Simpsons thing, even going back to the early seasons that I love, where the story suddenly pivots to being about Homer in a way that doesn't make any sense. Because this is like Marge becomes the mayor, And then the basic plot is she realizes she can increase her approval rating by making fun of her husband for being a bit of a buffoon. And then at the end thinks, oh, that's mean. I'm going to say nice things. But Homer is not like a supportive character deserving of...
No, they didn't establish that at all.
Yeah.
And like, I think, you pointed it out when we were watching the episode. He didn't even vote for her.
No, he's a dickhead. He just he doesn't believe a woman should be mayor until her son points out that they can get away with whatever they want. He wrecks her office. He's just a dundering dickhead.
Yeah.
Throughout the entire episode.
No,
and then at the end she's like, I should be nice to Homer. That's the...
Good Marge impression. Sweet. That was good.
Yeah, that brings to the story point that stood out to me is, this whole pivot thing, because it felt like the episode, it was starting out, it was trying to make a commentary on sexism, and they sort of just hit on the points but never resolved them.
I think the episode might actually be kind of sexist.
Yeah, because it seems like the conclusion was... Oh, Marge should go back to pandering to her husband.
Yeah.
Yeah, woohoo. That's groundbreaking, boys.
It's a very toothless episode.
Yeah, and then in the end when they do the jump forward 8 years later to the Marge Museum, and apparently she got impeached, and we don't know why. Like, that was weird.
Yeah.
Everything was weird.
Everything
Why
was
was the
weird.
Jimmy Stewart character in this?
Why was there a Jimmy Stewart character?
Madeline, I can't let you shut down the TIE fighter. It's weird. I don't like it. I don't care for this.
And
I don't care for any of this.
And they dropped him as soon as like they possibly could as well. He was only there for a couple of scenes, and yeah, it's so frustrating. Anyway, next question: play count. How many times before today have you seen this episode?
0.
Also 0.
Yep, I saw it once a couple of weeks ago, and
now you have to rewatch it.
And now I'm going to delete the file from my computer.
How is this one stacking up against this season?
Other season 29.
Season 29 so far has been mostly participant. We reviewed actually a pretty good episode called Springfield Splendor, where Marge and Lisa make a graphic novel together, and I stand by.
Oh, like American Splinter.
What's that?
That's the thing that would be parodying.
Oh.
Sure.
And yeah, that was like a really sweet episode that, we gave a shiny bronze to or something. But yeah, most of the episodes are very, very participant.
Sure.
Let's talk about some wacky moments from the episode. How did the wackiness work for you guys?
It didn't.
Yeah, so monorail, rolling through, killing everybody. They fucking brought out the Grumble again, their sort of weird Grinch parallel import character.
Yeah, he pops up.
He is such a weird fucking monster that exists within the Simpsons post-classic universe for some reason.
I like the phrase post-classic universe.
Yeah.
Also, one of the bits of, I suppose it goes under the wackiness category that stood out to me is, we mentioned before that the very early part of the episode centers around the monorail, but has the monorail track actually been in the Simpsons universe for the last 20 years?
Don't believe so.
And isn't at the end, I haven't seen Marge versus the monorail for a while now, but at the end of that episode, don't we see that most of it is falling down anyway? Like, it was weird to bring this thing back with absolutely no continuity of it not having been there. Which actually, on a couple of episodes of Pods in the Key of Springfield, I have a theory that the seasons and the episodes that we are watching actually all happen at the same time, and that we're not, they don't travel chronologically through the universe in the way that we as the observers do.
Wait, is this your theory? This seems different from my understanding of what your theory is.
So this is an omelette egg flip. This is another theory I've espoused.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, this is another theory I've espoused on the nature of time in the Simpsons universe, is that episode 1 isn't necessarily the story that happens before episode 2, basically. Which makes me wonder, did these events happen just after the monorail was built and then failed?
Yeah, but then that doesn't explain why Marge is apparently mayor for another 8 years or whatever.
It's a really good point.
The year 2022 is explicitly mentioned.
Is it explicitly mentioned?
Well, there's some sort of molasses-based crisis in the...
Oh, yeah. Oh, when it said the molasses flood of 22, which was something in the Marge Simpson mayoral library, there was a big poster. I assumed that was 1922, but you're right. It probably is 2022.
Yeah.
Because it was to do with, the tenure she had as mayor. You've just spun my perception on that episode.
Another wacky moment from me was the 2 times that they had characters acting like animals. So Homer getting harpooned in the middle of like a roast dinner.
Yeah, I found that upsetting on a deep level.
Yeah, so he gets harpooned and then bounces around like a whale.
Yeah, it's so bizarre, and it sucks because there was a decent line before that. It's just like, I may be full of blubber and harpoon scars or whatever, and I'm like, that's a decent joke, cut it there. But then harpoon during a roast dinner just because he said the word harpoon. Like, it's like Sea Captain was off screen and he just goes, harpoon? My time. And then when the Quimby boys were acting like seals.
Yeah, what the fuck was that?
I got really annoyed with the way they treated Quimby because so I have to admit I haven't seen much of the recent Simpsons episodes.
No one has.
Yeah, fair
just
enough. Me. But if that's the direction they've taken Quimby in, because his speech pattern used to be a parody of JFK, I think.
The Kennedys.
Yeah, of the Kennedys generally. But now...
Look at me, Mum. I am President Kennedy.
Totally. But in this episode, he would get to the end of a sentence and then just mumble on with, indeed, yeah. And it's like, well, no. That's not how his speech pattern works. And it really... fuck me off. And then you see his 2 sons, and they just go, while bouncing around like seals.
Yeah, go get the ball, seal kids. Like, what the fuck was going on in this? All right, next, let's talk about the heart of the episode. Did you guys feel any bumps in your heart?
I felt like it was going for a thing that it did not deserve or earn.
Yeah, they were aiming for the heart with the resolution where Marge decides she shouldn't make fun of Homer anymore. Personally,
Homer, who earlier in the episode, I think tried to kill Bart.
Yeah.
No, Bart definitely tried to kill Homer, jumping back to the wackiness. Jesus Christ.
Well, I mean, there's that whole sequence. He, throws a spear at him.
Yeah. Oh, that's right.
And he picks up a painting to deflect the spear, and then...
And Bart starts wailing on him with a bust of, George Washington or something, for an obscene amount of time.
He beats the shit out of him.
Marge really, could have stopped that at any moment, but... Okay.
Is it possible that he kills Homer and the rest of the episode... is the dying dreams
possibly
of Homer as he lies there bleeding out?
It actually ties into another theory that Homer is actually a sentient god in a universe that keeps resetting itself.
Oh, that's interesting. Is that one of yours?
No, I think I got it from Cracked.
Fair enough.
But yeah, it's a crazy ass theory. But it would explain
all
why...
these theories that the writers are very clearly not thinking of.
Yeah,
totally.
But yeah, it would explain though why Homer, his ears were burning when someone said pie. Remember that?
Where that was the worst.
They mention a pie graph and Homer's not there and he calls up Marge and...
Yeah, and then Marge says, yes, Homer, someone mentioned pie. Yeah, I know. Pie. And then she hangs up.
At one point, Homer is naked and has covered his body in food later in the episode, and I couldn't figure out what food it was or why he was naked.
How did I not see that? Is that during one of the perhaps 7 seconds that I was writing notes for? That's weird.
No, it was during the bit where they're doing the focus group and he's like, Marge, can you put a Hot Pocket in the dryer?
Yeah. Okay.
Were those Hot Pockets that he was covered in? They looked like chimichangas or something.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Oh, they could have been hot dogs. Armour hot dogs.
It was... The hell happened to my dogs? Fucking finally a chance to say that on a podcast.
I want answers. Actually, in that scene, there was a line that I really found funny where Lindsay Naegle goes, I'm going to Kellyanne Conway this thing. And someone in the focus group goes, I like her. It shows that a woman can finally be Goebbels.
That's one thing I do like about modern Simpsons is that they are really fucking going for it.
Yeah.
When they go after Trump, that's the only morally correct position to take, though, really.
Totally.
Yeah.
Is to, aggressively hate Trump and his entire cabinet.
Definitely.
So...
No,
hello to Elliot's American listeners, some of which may be Trump supporters.
Guys, you fucked up. You should not have done that.
But yeah, anyway, back to the heart moments, though. Yeah, They were trying to go for it at the end, but then they kind of undercut it with the big Homer balloon that farted confetti.
Yeah, that was an interesting one, wasn't it?
Yeah, interesting choice.
I don't really have much to say about that.
It's a serious medical condition. I mean, a lot of us suffer from confetti shit.
Confetti shit. Is it called confati?
Oh, nice.
Dun, 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 dun.
Yeah.
That's a good twurge right there.
Twurge?
It's my alternate word for portmanteau. And it's 2-word merge.
Oh, yeah. Which, curiously, is a 3-word merge.
Yep.
Yeah. I like what you've done.
So yes or no, would you watch this episode again?
Oh, probably not, to be honest.
Unless I had to, I would
For a podcast or something.
actively avoid it.
No, I am scrubbing the file off my computer and burning the computer.
I was going to hypothetically, I thought to myself, hypothetically, if it was on TV, would I watch it? But I'm in Australia, which means we can't see these episodes on TV.
No.
Yeah. Actually, a fairly major website had commissioned me to review this season.
Oh, really?
And then I just couldn't because it was not legally available in any way.
Yeah.
Usually it's not even on iTunes.
No, and I don't even think they come express to Fox 8 anymore either.
I don't
No,
think
But,
so.
who's got the money for Foxtel?
Well,
So, Nick, what would you change to save this episode?
I was thinking about this when you mentioned the heart question. I think a better heart moment, which actually would have made the episode slightly better for me, is if it was Homer realizing that for Marge's success, he has to just take the fall.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
Right?
I think that.
If he had a moment where it was like, you know what? I'm just going to be the brunt of these jokes because that makes Marge more successful.
Yep.
And if that was the heart moment, and if Marge went, oh my God, Homer, thank you so much, that would have made the episode a lot better, in my humble opinion.
Yeah, like at the end, he might be getting pelted with pies or something by the residents of Springfield, and he's looking sad, and Marge is like, oh my God, look at the things he does for me.
One of my comments on the page here is actually somebody throw a pie or something. Just waiting for something funny to happen.
What the hell is going on? James, what would you change about the episode?
I feel like I would restructure it fairly significantly. I feel like this episode goes so all over the place. The plot seems to change every 3 minutes. Make it primarily about Marge wanting to run for mayor, then picking her platform, and then becoming mayor and being unable to enact the change that she promised.
Yeah.
Instead of, for some reason, pivoting towards the whole thing with her trying to gain popularity by disparaging her husband. That's a shit plot. Don't do that. Make it about the tire fire, which is her initial reason for becoming the mayor, and then gets dropped completely. Which, by the way, why doesn't Quimby, if that's such a popular position, say, oh yeah, I'll do it as well? That's a half-a-day job.
Yeah.
Who gives a shit?
Yeah, that leans into what I'd change, is that I actually kind of liked the moment where Marge goes up to Quimby and finds him at the summer house and goes to him needing help. I'd like if they really lent into that a bit more and, ran with the sexism angle that they set up at the start. Yeah,
there's no real sense of Marge being the mayor in this episode.
No.
It's not really about that, which is shit because it...
No, it just quickly turns into the Homer show, which happens so much. It's just like, oh, we need to get him into the episode now.
And Homer changed the city more when he was garbage guy than Marge did when she was mayor.
Which we'll be covering next week on episode 67.
Oh, how's that for foreshadowing that I didn't even know I was doing?
Thank you for that accidental alley-oop.
Am I like Phoebe from Charmed? Was she the one that had premonitions? I think so.
It was old man Patterson here with his finger on the button. What button? That's a very good episode.
I can't wait.
Of Charmed.
Yes.
I don't recall that discussion.
It's the one where,
the girls fight old man Patterson.
It's the one where Rosemary Charmed becomes the garbage commissioner.
Rosemary Charmed. By the way, I'm not sure if your Alyssa Milano impression is bang on. Old man Patterson on the button. Well, that's not what she sounds like.
Sure she does. She sounds like a grizzled old New Yorker.
Alyssa, if you are listening, a big fan of your work on that new season of Wet Hot American Summer. That was really good. You were great on that. So, Alyssa, if you are listening, and I'm sure you are because you say you have some listeners in California.
She must be one of them.
Yeah.
No, I agree. She was one of the bright spots in that.
It was also really funny, Alyssa, when you made that tweet at Ted Cruz earlier this year, refusing to hug him. That was excellent. I really enjoyed that.
That is good.
Yeah.
So there were no guest stars in this episode, but musical moments. There was the weird Marge Vote For Me country song.
Yeah, what the fuck was that garbage?
What the fuck was that garbage? That was strange.
It sounded tired. This entire episode sounds very tired. It sounds like everyone just got out of bed moments before recording.
Yeah,
including the animators, I think.
Yeah, this episode felt like how Kellyanne Conway looks. But yeah, the song with the going between the various groups to get their votes, like none of this material was solid for me. Like,
no, I agree. And there was also a weird when they first started talking about the monorail, and they brought back the monorail chant from the start of the monorail song.
Oh, couldn't fail. Just
don't fuck with these classic episodes.
No,
let them lie.
Because all it does, and I think this is something that's been mentioned on Simpsons Index before, all those callbacks do is make you go, oh, fuck yeah, I can watch Marge versus the Monorail.
Yeah, what am I doing watching this shit?
Instead of this.
Definitely. And yeah, the cuts to when they're showing the bar graphs and stuff, and again, shoehorning Homer in, where he just comes in, eats part of the pie chart, and then just cracks a beer and sits down in one of them. It's like, why did you waste 10 seconds on this?
Yeah, so they had a bar graph of relative popularity of Quimby and Marge in the mayoral election race. And then Homer, like, it's not even breaking the fourth wall. It's like breaking the bar graph wall, and for some reason he was involved. I'm not into it.
Yeah, and it's just... So, Nick, any other notes?
Let's have a quick squiz at I've got sandwich with an asterisk next to it, and I don't remember why. Homer gets a sandwich named after him, and I've always wanted a sandwich to be named after me.
Yeah?
The closest I've come to ever getting a sandwich named after me was a long time ago. One of my friends was a barwoman at a horrible Adelaide nightclub called Mansions.
Oh, Mansions.
Yeah,
Ooh.
so it's like horrible, seedy, terrible...
Yeah.
Scummy, but not in a fun scummy way, just in one of those awful bars that's awful,
right?
And only plays Crazy in Love by Beyonce. But we had a fun ongoing thing where I would walk up to her whenever she was working and say, I'll just have my usual thanks, and then she'd give me a different thing every time. And I really enjoyed that, and that's what I think of when I think about getting a sandwich named after me.
What would be on this sandwich?
On my sandwich, I think I would go for like, if it was going to be, it'd be like a ham and salad sandwich, but it would have pickled jalapenos in it.
Ooh.
And some, maybe something crazy like some feta, like some crumb, because, I mean, feta's not that common in sandwiches, I don't think, but I'd be into it because I like feta.
This might be a new question for the questionnaire. James, what would you have on your sandwich named after you?
It would just be a Reuben. Some chips on the side.
Yeah, I did like Homer's idea.
Actually, I'd put chips in the sandwich, but it would be a Reuben otherwise.
Outrageous.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, actually, back to Seinfeld, I always think about that episode where George starts introducing food into his sex life.
Totally.
Flew too close to the sun on wings of pastrami.
What a line.
But in one of the cafe scenes, he's just eating this sandwich that is loaded with pastrami and salami and cured meats, and it's just so stacked sky high, and I'm like, yeah, I want that. So was that all your notes?
It was a good signwriting joke because, as we know, the Simpsons signwriters kill it week to week. When they were having the mayor debate, the sub sign was "Bring your own podium," which I enjoyed.
That was a good line, yeah. James, any other notes from this episode for you?
The only other thing I have on my page really is that the chalkboard gag on this one was, I will not ask the guidance counselor why he doesn't have a better job. I think guidance counselor's a perfectly fine job. I don't think that was a necessary jab.
Unnecessary drive-by at guidance counselors.
Yeah.
That's weird.
I don't know, maybe Matt Groening's guidance counselor just gave him really bad advice.
Yeah, well, it's not an easy job to tell people what job they should do.
No.
Also, the couch gag was bad, but whatever, it's...
Yeah, we don't normally go through the couch gags, but yeah, this one was just so long and drawn out, the whole silent movie thing, and he sends his kids to work in the coal mine.
And then you're like, all right, that's what that was. All right,
and now it's time for my final quick-fire notes.
Quick-fire notes.
Nice. Yeah, you guys are a good sound effects board. There was a weird joke at the start where Ralph was just there for no reason and he had a speech impediment.
Yeah, I didn't like that.
And then Willie scoops him up and puts him in a speech impediment truck.
Yeah, a truck that said speech therapist on the side of it, which is not the correct spelling as far as I understand.
Yep, hated it, disgusting, terrible joke.
Yep, not into it.
Yeah, that was just, there was no reason it was there. It was totally shoehorned in and then...
And Ralph's never spoken like that.
No, it's, at pro of nothing.
If you're going to make that terrible joke, which I'm not into, because speaking as a kid that had a speech impediment, like, don't make fun of them.
Yeah.
But if you are going to make it with a random kid that we've never seen before, who may well have a speech impediment. Like,
But I don't know, scooping up kids with speech impediments like they're lost dogs isn't a thing. And I don't think scooping up lost dogs is a thing anymore either.
Hey, look, I don't know what you do in Sydney, but here in Adelaide,
we like our banks closed and our dogs scooped.
Quite often the banks are closed because there are bodies dissolving in barrels inside of them as well.
Oh, good Snowtown reference.
Yeah.
Into it.
They've got robotic garbage bins that recognize that Kirk threw away used porn.
Yeah, one of them like kills a person.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Thank you for the senior citizen or something.
Yep.
Bad.
Yeah,
Very
this
bad.
was also a bad joke because who has physical porn anymore? Like,
Well, I can tell you who doesn't. Kirk Van Houten, who just threw all his away.
Can I borrow a feeling?
Or maybe just a DVD.
the Homer Wiggum trying to cross on the Skywalk, I thought was a decent enough joke, but it kind of dragged out a bit.
Hated it deeply. Very bad.
It had your favorite character in it.
Oh, Shana. And Shana. Yeah, she's the worst. But she wasn't being the worst in here. She was just like, I've got the bod.
And she didn't say her catchphrase.
Which is saying her name.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah, don't know if you guys knew this, but she's also apparently Superintendent Chalmers' daughter.
I didn't know that.
No, it's mentioned in like a season 26.
So she's like the SNES Mini of this show then.
Good.
Nice.
Yeah,
Swish.
It's very good.
They destroy a Leonard Nimoy statue and comic book guy goes, no more Nimoy. Like,
Which is a bit weird when Nimoy's actually dead. It's a weird joke to put in there.
When did Nimoy die?
A few years back.
yeah, it's got to be at least 2 years by now.
Okay, so he was definitely dead at the time that episode was written.
Well dead, yes.
I'd say so, yeah. And we noticed another joke, actually, another season 29 episode, The Surfsons, where they're doing like this weird Simpsons are in medieval times now episode. Like,
yeah, I've listened to the episode on that one.
yeah, it's fucking bizarre. But at one point, they've got a bunch of heads on pikes, and one of them is Troy McClure, and it's just, this isn't the way you honor your dead, people.
No.
Anyway, really, I love a good Wilhelm scream joke, but the guy going into the cactus.
Why the fuck was there a Wilhelm scream?
Why the fuck was there a cactus patch?
Very angry about this episode. I've hit anime TV show The Simpsons. Little scene.
Actually, I think I heard you vocally yell, "What?" when Homer made a thanks Obama joke.
Oh, yeah. No, it's I don't like. Oh, just sorry.
Yeah, I know.
I've got nothing to say on that one.
It was so confusing. Cletus apparently is into Ayn Rand.
Yeah, extended Ayn Rand joke.
With an Ayn Rand scarecrow that, like, what?
I don't know that like the principle, like Randian principles, are necessarily in line with like the character of Cletus in any way.
No, like I know she's like a reference point for like libertarian and some right-wing people, but like I don't think hillbillies.
Yeah, they're not really compatible. It's a weird.
Speaking of compatible, what did you guys think about the mashing of Martin Prince and Mo Sislak? I don't think they've ever had a scene together before this episode.
Oh, the scene about metaphors and similes, which I appreciate on I'm an English teacher level, but I did not enjoy.
No, it's... Yeah, you better add an azar in that metaphor or I'll bash you up, you 10-year-old.
Yeah, the thing
It's one of those just like, where the fuck is any of this coming from?
Why is Martin there?
Why are these jokes that you felt the need to make?
And, you know, like, I don't want to get too deep into the business of rewriting jokes that I don't think worked, but I'm going to do exactly that now. That's one of those ones where and I think it's something that they do a lot in modern seasons, where they just take it 2 beats too far.
Yeah.
There's a discussion about Mo likes similes but hates metaphors, and then Martin gives a metaphor, and it just could have ended with Mo like shaking his fist. And then if you know what metaphors and similes are, you've already got the joke. But they take it that one step further and say, oh, you'd better do this to turn it from that to this. Fuck.
It was so dragged out.
The whole fucking thing.
It was, and in the same scene... I don't know what the rules for this was, where Marge is on the stage, she's looking out, they've got the dramatic, tense music, and the Lovejoys are just, like, talking to each other telepathically.
Yeah, what was up with that?
There's just this big extended sequence where they're bitching about Marge's at the potluck and...
Undercooked a chicken.
And they can hear each other. Like,
maybe they have salmonella, and maybe that's unlocked some powers in them. I don't know.
Some salmonella powers.
Yeah.
I'm into it.
Quick, let's get some raw chicken and do some experiments.
Sure.
Oh, we already did that before you got here. We've actually been having a separate conversation in our heads.
And there was another bad Kent Brockman cutaway to a reenactment of Mamie Eisenhower destroying pianos.
Yeah, I don't know what
I'm
that was.
laughing because explaining this, I'm like, wait, did I watch this?
I enjoyed the sound design in that of 3 pianos being clunked.
I feel like that would have been funny if they'd attached a joke to it.
Yeah.
But they didn't.
Well, Kent Brockman did have a good joke because they cut to him a lot in this episode, and the final time was, he goes, and apparently our news reports are only 2 sentences long. Okay, goodbye.
Yep.
That was decent.
I was into that.
What about the racist bit of when Marge calls the Jimmy Stewart guy a ding-dong?
Oh, yeah, and they make it
a whole extended Vietnam thing.
Yeah,
Thank you was his friend.
And then what was
Lost him at the Battle of One Pun Too Many.
One pun too many. Fuck.
Television's bad, I think. We should I'm Nick, you always say that you don't like content. I think maybe after this episode I'm on board with that. I think maybe we should...
It just took one episode of season 29 to bring you around to my...
Yeah, I might go home and just cancel my Netflix subscription.
All hope is lost.
All you need is meme pages and podcasts.
And my final note is this was actually a really cute thing of Marge curling the ribbons after she cut them. I thought that was just such a Marge thing to do.
Yeah, I enjoyed that, especially because they foreshadowed it by saying, oh, well, I could cut the ribbon and then curl it with the big scissors, and then does it twice. And twice was just enough, I think.
Just enough. Actually, I just realized I skipped the question. Did this feel like an episode of The Simpsons?
No.
No,
it didn't. And
the show as a whole is off. The characters are off. Like Marge, kind of and
there's just so many moments of just like silence and downtime in this episode as well, where there's just nothing really happening on the screen. Characters aren't talking. There's not a joke being made.
Yeah,
I was talking to you earlier about how if you go back to a classic episode on Frinkiac and you capture like a moment you remember being really funny, it's like something funny happens every 3 seconds.
Yeah,
on these old episodes.
No, there's no room for improvement in some of those old ones, and these ones is such a lot of wasted time.
And what I'd say about this is it didn't feel like an episode of The Simpsons, but it felt like an episode of something that had been written after someone had watched 2 episodes of The Simpsons.
Yeah,
because there were so many callbacks with no purpose to them, especially in the whole first third with the monorail stuff, and then they brought back the haircut guy.
Yeah.
And it's just like, who are these people? Why are they here? You've clearly just watched part of season 2 and 3 and gone, I can make a show.
Yeah. I've got the basic building blocks here, but no. All right, well, I guess it is time to rank this thing.
Rank this thing! Okay.
Never had this much Foley work. I like it.
Was that a stray dog that you scooped up? Is that what that is?
Had a speech impediment. I had to get it in the van.
Sweet.
On the Simpsons Index, we rank using our 6-point scale, which starts down the bottom at failure. But maybe if the episode was just meh, you give it a participant. But if it's good, bronze, great, silver, excellent, gold. But for the best of the very best, those episodes that just get you hard or wet, whatever you want, you give those episodes cubic zirconia.
Okay, so we all agree this was amazing, right? It was the best episode they've ever done.
Despite what we all said before, this is a cubic. No. I'm going to go first. Let me show you how it's done. I'm failing this one. There's just there's so little to like about this. And I'd give it a participant because it was mostly boring, but I think giving it more of a failure because it had a decent concept. Marge becomes mayor, and it just squandered it. Nick, what do you reckon?
First of all, I'm going to start with a question for you.
Yep.
Now, I've listened to quite a few episodes of The Simpsons Index, the online spreadsheet that is also a podcast. And what I want to know is, I don't think this has been a phrase yet, but I'd like to run it past you to see if you'll take it on board.
Sure.
If we fail something, is it called giving the episode the index finger?
Oh, shit.
Yeah. Are we on board with that?
That is amazing.
Thank you. All right. So I'm giving this one the index finger. Yeah, pretty much for the same reasons you said. I was borderline participating this one, but it has too many things in it that actually made me groan.
Yeah.
I laughed out loud when Homer was demolishing the house because the model of the tank looked weird, but other than that, not into it.
Very poorly animated destruction of a house, by the way, in that scene.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was the poor animation that made me laugh, which I'm not sure if that's enough to bring it up to participant. I don't think it is. So.
No. James, what do you reckon? What are you ranking this thing?
I feel like if there was something between participant and failure, I would give it that. But if I have to choose between the two, I'm going ahead and giving it a fail because I did not like it. I thought it was morally weak. Weak in terms, it's weak in every fucking way. Like, it's poorly written, poorly drawn.
Yeah,
it just feels like something that they sort of like farted out over a series of sessions. Like, it's
here's
like
the confetti.
Yeah, it's like here's a few ideas we had. Let's stitch them together into something that.
Yeah, actually, I don't think we hit enough on how morally weak this one is as well. Like,
it doesn't follow through on its own convictions at all. It just.
All right, well, that is a unanimous failure, a big index finger to this episode. I love that, by the way.
Thanks.
This will be joining other such episodes like Monty Burns' Fleeing Circus, The Cat in the Hat, Love is in the N2O2 ARCO2 NEHECH4, Treehouse of Horror 26, Mo Goes from Rags to Riches, Lisa Goes Gaga. Yeah, it belongs in this big pile of drag.
I've only seen 2 of those. I've seen the one about Mo's rag.
Oh, fucking awful.
And have I seen that Lady Gaga one? Yes, I have. Very bad.
Yep. And also Future Drama from season 16, The Italian Bob, Funeral for a Fiend, where they bring back Cecil, Sideshow Bob's brother, and the whole family. It's so bad. Anyway.
Should we have just watched Marge versus the Monorail again instead?
Oh, it's
I hear those things are awfully loud.
It flies as softly as a cloud. All right. Well, that does it for this episode. So now we're going all the way back to the teens era, and we don't have my notes together because...
Grift of the Magi.
There we go. Grift of the Magi. Is it Magi or Maggie?
Magi, I think.
Magi?
Yeah.
Magi is how I've always pronounced that word.
I remember this being a pretty good episode, so let's find out.
All right, sweet.
And remember to subscribe to Pods in the Key of Springfield. Okay. On to the next one.
All right, we'll be back. And we are back, and we just watched our teens episode for today, which was season 11, episode 9, The Grift of the Magi. Maggie Noodles.
The 2-minute noodles.
Yeah, that's what I go to pronounce it as.
It's the Funzo one. It's the one with Funzo.
It's one with Funzo.
The Grift of the Funzo.
It was first released in December of 1999, and it was written by Tom Martin. In this episode, the school goes bankrupt after Principal Skinner gets the mob to contract a bunch of ramps to be built for the school, and marketing team called Kid First Industries take over, where they exploit the children for information about what the new upcoming toy should be for Christmas, and they make Funzo, and then Bart and Lisa set out to destroy them all. Guys, what did you think?
Really good.
Yeah.
Yes, a marked improvement on the season 29 episode that we just watched.
It's been a while since I've seen this one, and man, it's a cracker. Like the first third is just relentless.
It's just joke after joke after, and good jokes too.
Yeah, I remember this one being good, but I didn't remember it being hysterical in quite the same way that it was.
Yeah, totally. So just starting out, Nick, what's a joke for better or worse that stood out to you?
The first joke I have noted on my thing was when Lisa was looking through the board games they could play, and there's a game called Clam Traffic Jam with a lovely illustration of like a clam wearing a police officer's hat, and then a bunch of other clams that have all crashed into each other, which is lovely. Just
I like a good clam joke.
How about you, James? What's a joke that immediately stands out to you?
First one that really jumped out at me very early in the episode, right before the one Nick just said, is when Bart and Milhouse are sitting on the couch, bored, and Milhouse says, "I can't wait until we're teenagers, then we'll be happy." Which is the greatest understanding of what it's like to be that. It is like the 10-year-old experience.
Totally.
Just summed up so perfectly in one line.
Totally.
Absolutely. Yeah, it was sort of a weird way to get the boys to stay inside the hole. There's a hole in the ozone layer, and there's this beam that's chasing every Milhouse around.
Yeah, totally.
It's like the Hammer of Dawn from Gears of War, just following him,
But the joke that I liked from this bit was with Kent Brockman on the news, and he goes, only go outside if you're at like Robin Williams level of hairiness. Oh, that was great. But Nick, what's a story moment that stood out to you from this episode, for better or worse?
Story moment. I'm looking at my notes, and all I can see is other little jokes that I liked. such as when Ralph says the before teacher yelled at me too.
Yep.
I mean, well, obviously, when Bart breaks his coccyx bone on the falling backwards onto the bowling ball, and then they put in all the ramps only to have Bart come back cured and no longer in a wheelchair.
Yeah, that actually sort of shows how, like, this episode where it pivoted a bunch of times to what it was about, but it was just solid throughout.
Because I think what they did with all the pivots, within every pivot there was a beginning, middle, and end.
Yeah.
And I think what we're seeing in a lot of the season 29s is that there'll be a beginning of a thread, but then they never resolve it.
Yeah.
So it feels like you've traveled a long, long way in that episode because there are so many things that they pick up and resolve.
Absolutely. James, is there a moment from the story that stood out to you, for better or worse?
Very early on, there is the scene of Bart and Milhouse. They raid Bart's parents' closet and they're dressed up in Marge's clothes and they're jumping on the bed, seeing sisters are doing for themselves. This struck me because there's a bit of an argument that Bart is meant to be like a queer figure in a lot of the early seasons of The Simpsons, which is a reading I really like. And I think this is like one of the pivotal scenes where he just... this is kind of, maybe not a story moment for the episode so much as The Simpsons in the larger context, but I like that there are these scenes of like Bart exploring gender and sexuality.
Yeah, Milhouse's line, "You're afraid you'll like it."
Yeah, sort of the ongoing idea of, Bart sort of having this fluidity in his...
because he had the fantasy once of seducing the security guard with
and like when he shows Lisa how to be like a beauty pageant contestant, there's like a lot of little things throughout the show where Bart has this sort of like queer aspect to his identity. I thought that's like part of the ongoing narrative. So that's, looking bigger picture. Other than that...
Yeah, it's a shame that Homer was a bit homophobic in this, but it did lead to the good line of, I want a non-gay explanation of Milhouse. It's just, we're drunk. Really drunk.
Really drunk.
Yeah, which Homer accepts as a good excuse, of course.
Yeah, when Homer came in and said, "What's happening? I want the non-gay explanation," that's one of those moments where it's like there's a record scratch inside your head. Now it's like, was that okay then? It's not okay now. I'm not into it.
Not cool.
Homer is openly homophobic throughout most of the show, and it's kind of a bit of a sticking point.
Yeah, it really does put a bad mark on a lot of these older episodes for sure. I did like how the Kid First Industries became the main sort of plot of this episode, taking over and doing the market research. I thought that led to so many bits of good material.
Yeah, totally.
All the classroom scenes, and even Bart just like starting to excel at kicking books.
I like how sort of it ends up being fairly benign. Like they discover the plot and they're like, "Well, we did kind of screw you, so here's a free toy. Now fuck off."
Yeah. Oh, totally. All right, we'll get back to that in a moment, but play count. How many times before tonight do you think you've seen this episode?
I'm going to bracket it and say somewhere between probably 20 and 30, I reckon.
Yeah, I'd say about 30 probably is a fair number. I feel like this is one that I've watched in repeat plenty of times throughout my life, one that I will tune in for. Stick around for.
If I was channel surfing and this was on, it's definitely like, oh shit, I'm definitely keeping that on.
Especially this time of year because we're approaching Christmas. This is a
Christmas.
Classic Christmas episode.
Didn't intend for this because usually we don't line up holidays with episodes and stuff unless it's Halloween, because Halloween's awesome. I totally didn't intend to do this one at this time of year, and I honestly forgot it was a Christmassy episode.
Did you also intend for Lindsay Naegle to be in this one as well?
No, didn't intend. Or the tire fire came up.
Or the tire fire. You've really accidentally slam dunked the first two.
I do. It's amazing how these little threads can pop up. Yeah, we'll see when we get to the next episode if it continues.
Sure.
Any impactful moments from this episode that have stayed with you over the years? Quotes that you always bring up and such?
For some reason, the phrase "Attila the Fun" has stuck with me. I've always thought that, I don't know, that's a fun turn of phrase. There's a lot of good stuff in here. Like, I think, if you don't have Funzo, you're nothing. Yeah. The sort of slogan on the ad is so good because it just cuts right through to like what the purpose of advertising is.
Oh, that
it
ad
is
was
purely
so
to
brilliant.
like not just make you want a product, but to make you like
feel worthless without it.
Yeah, to feel like you're like, this is what will complete your life.
Sure, absolutely. I had an interesting little spin-off when Taya Leone got a name mentioned at some point.
That was weird.
And I was like, fuck, yeah, I used to watch Caroline in the City all the time, and then looked it up on Wikipedia, and I'm like, oh no, that's not Taya Leone in Caroline in the City. Does anyone remember Caroline in the City, by the way? Or is that...
No. I remember that it existed.
It was a show about a female cartoonist that had an enormous apartment in New York and had wacky adventures.
Yeah?
And wouldn't they show you her cartoons sometimes and they weren't good?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also the whole opening credit sequence was like a watercolory cartoon thing, which was apparently what her style was.
Every 90s sitcom is just here's like somebody living in New York who has like a weird job. And
yeah, it reminds me of the Family Guy bit. How about a show where a woman's working at a magazine?
The only thing I remember from Caroline in the City was there was a scene where one of the female characters, to impress one of the male characters, decided to stuff her bra to give herself the appearance of larger breasts, but she stuffed it with M&Ms for some reason. And then at some point while she's at this party, she leans over to pick something up and M&Ms just go everywhere. And then I think one of the other characters says like, whoa, this one's paying out, like she's a poker machine. What?
Taking from that old Simpsons joke of Barney swallowing the coins.
Yes, totally.
I thought you were going to say it went for it melts in your mouth, not in your hands, but it also melts in your boobs.
I like what you've done there.
Yeah. Rewriting show I've never even seen before.
Speaking of swallowing coins, I once swallowed some coins, but my parents couldn't see any change in me. Couldn't see any change in me, Elliot.
That was a tumbleweed. Did this feel like an episode of The Simpsons?
Yeah. And
Very much so.
And a really good one at that.
It feels like this era has a different energy to it to the earlier episodes and what follows. There's this sort of like franticness to it in a way. It's very like, I don't know, it's kind of frantic and funny and like a bit weird. Like I reckon seasons 9 to about 12 have a very specific energy.
Yeah.
Even like the music's a bit different, the animation's a little different.
Yeah, it sort of comes off like, not quite, but just a little bit like a sketch show almost.
Yeah.
But like you were saying with like the resolving of the plots, like, everything was pretty satisfying about this episode.
It also works in a lot of like great characters, like Fat Tony right at the start. Really good episode for Skinner. The stuff with Mr. Burns, the 7th Simpson, if you ask me. Yeah. Because, you got the 5, and then, of course, Springfield itself is a character in the show. And then you got the Mr. Burns scene. We were all dying watching the Mr. Burns
that
scene.
Is just so classic. Well, that's the moment that stood with me over the years. I've never liked that Dr. Stupid.
Yeah, school kids putting on a play, and Burns just wholeheartedly and earnestly gets into it. It's weird because it feels completely out of character, but it also feels so right that he would just get so invested. I love it so much.
Mr. Burns not being able to read like the ridiculousness of a situation is classic Mr. Burns.
Yeah, true.
But just how he was so invested. Maybe he does like the live theatre. That took place at his house, at his personal theatre.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's the rat poison.
Yeah, he's so just funny. So into it. And I loved the classic drop hatch gag. And then they come out of the roof for some reason. It's doing that thing again.
Oh, see, that's the kind of Simpsons joke I love, where that is a weird joke, right?
Yeah.
But it hits so well in that episode because they don't focus on it for too long.
Yep.
They don't try to put forward a bogus explanation. They just go, oh, that thing's happening, and cut away from it straight away.
Well, at this point, like, they're really flexing the world to see how far they can bend it.
Yeah.
In later seasons, they just break it repeatedly while they're...
Totally.
Like that harpoon joke in that episode we just watched.
No, that is a good metaphor for it, but, you better add an Azza. I hate myself for saying that.
I see what you've done there.
But feeling like an episode of The Simpsons. I felt like all the characters were on point. I liked actually how Bart was still shilling the funzo even after he got it.
Yeah.
Why not buy 3? 3 it is.
Oh, wow. Funzo makes playtime fun time.
Heavy indoctrination into the advertising world.
Yeah, absolutely. And Lisa's totally on point. She loves standing up, social justice and all that. And I like how Bart's just only a little bit along for the ride.
There's a great line. I forget the exact wording, but it's something like, if you're going to...
chuck a spaz or something?
Yeah, if you're going to chuck a spaz, I'll come with. It's just this great, like... Because I've said on our podcast, Pods in the Key of Springfield, that I love...
Like and subscribe.
I love episodes where Bart and Lisa team up to, like, face a common evil together. I think that's such a great dynamic. when those two work together to overcome something. And then in this one, they throw in Homer as well at the end, and that just sweetens it even further.
Oh, and the opening line of when Homer joins the team and he's like, all right, so who am I going to beat up?
I like that.
Just the fact that he's immediately gone in going, oh, kids want me to do something, I'm in.
I'm dressed up at Santa. There's a Christmas I've got to ruin.
And there's a kind of sweetness to that, just like Homer having accepted, if Bart and Lisa say this is a thing, I better help them out with it.
If I'm required for this thing, then I may as well get in. Oh, it's good.
Because one of the world-building things The Simpsons managed to do in seasons 6 onwards is kind of have Homer and Marge no longer be incredulous towards Bart and Lisa. They're usually right about these things, so... Lisa the Iconoclast, where he sort of says, you're usually right about these things once I want in on the ground floor. Yeah, that's a sweet little thing.
Absolutely.
I like in this episode a lot.
No, and coming into the wackiness of this episode, Homer burgling the houses was fantastic.
Oh, yeah, with the soundtrack of the caroling.
Yeah. And the fact that they only showed 2 of them, I think, makes it work.
Yeah, well, exactly. One going well, and then the other one just going as badly as possible.
Immediately tips over the tree, gets attacked by a dog.
Bart and Lisa singing louder as well.
The way they look at each other as well in that moment.
Is caroling a thing that happens in Australia?
I haven't had it happen to me.
I haven't had it.
I would hate it so much
because I've got a lot of things that I need to steal from a lot of houses, and caroling seemed like a pretty good cover. But if it's not an Australian tradition, then it's going to seem really awkward and forced.
No, Halloween's only just starting to become a. Did you guys get trick or treaters this year? Or
I was actually out of the house this year, so I got back home at about 8:30 at night, and on the way home I was like, you know what, better buy a bag of fun-sized Twix and some Cadbury favourites, knowing full well that all the little trick-or-treaters would be in bed by then, but I was just going to eat all the chocolate myself.
Happy Halloween.
And I fucking enjoyed it.
People did come, you just didn't answer the door.
I've had trick-or-treaters before.
And you?
Yeah, this year I sort of, around the time everyone was trick-or-treating, I decided to go for a walk. And the streets were full of ghouls. And it was very scary. Nobody came. My house is kind of tucked away in a way that makes it difficult.
Did at any point someone come up to you and give a soul-crushing compliment like, man, that's a really scary costume you've got on. Well, this is just me. Fuck, sorry.
Actually, I did die 10 years ago tonight in that very street. So
and the rest of our podcast was just a death dream.
Exactly, yes.
Excellent.
So there were a lot of wacky moments in this episode. The whole the ramp sequence as well was particularly funny.
When the ramps come out like roller coasters.
There's a loop.
Just great.
And then Bart walking out with that smile on his face.
Totally.
Showing how strong his butt bone is.
That was classic. Some great sound effects and everyone just tepid applause.
Oh, man.
The sound design on this episode was phenomenal the whole way through. One note that I made is when they're all showing their favorite toys and they just show Nelson cranking that Jack in the Box. Oh. The noise of that Jack in the Box, I was having a reaction to that.
Yeah.
It's such a...
Oh, that drove me nuts. You never saw it pop out. So unsatisfying.
Good visceral noise, too, when Bart lands back first on the bowling ball.
Oh, yeah.
It really sounds like he breaks his spine.
This is something that Jekyll and I had picked up in a pre-podcast watch-through of The Simpsons. Yeah. Lots of visceral sound design. Yeah. Visceral is a word we used often when watching The Simpsons pre-podcast. And that was one of the great ones. Just I don't know what they did in the sound booth. Did they get an entire shoulder of pork and just wrench it apart? But it's amazing.
Yeah, there were so many wacky moments. I think we'll hit on more. But just for the moment, what about the heart of this episode? Did you guys feel bumps?
A few here and there. I don't know, there's something weirdly nice about Mo not committing suicide at the end.
Yeah, I felt the end was actually a really saccharine moment for the episode, to wrap up with the narrator and...
Yeah. I mean, my thing with the ending was when it started making all the references to Charles Dickens' A Christmas Carol, I just went off thinking about Muppet Christmas Carol, which is A, genuinely one of my favourite movies of all time, and B, I'm about 2 weeks away from where I start to watch it all the time. And I've made James do a previous watching of it with me, and we very much... It was a whole different experience watching it with him, because I've always enjoyed it on a very pure and innocent level. Like I actually really love the movie. Watching it with him, we spent the whole time mocking Michael Caine.
Oh, that's right. He's in it, isn't he?
Oh, is Michael Caine in there?
Michael Caine's in Muppet Christmas Carol, but there's a bit in the very end where they're doing like a big redemption song in the town square, and Michael Caine just starts doing this wonderful elbow dancing. It's the best thing. I recommend everyone go watch it. It's great.
It is a good dance.
It's actually amazing. This is the second podcast in a row where Muppets have come up. We were talking about Muppets Treasure Island on the other one.
Shit.
And singing the Cabin Fever song. Yeah, we're all big Muppets fans.
Nice.
But yeah, the ending with the heart moment, I like the very respectful argument that Bart, Lisa, Gary Coleman were having at the end.
Yeah, I'm not really sure why Gary Coleman is in this episode, but it's still...
Yeah. Well, may as well just quickly jump ahead to the guest stars of this episode. So, yeah, Gary Coleman apparently was working as a security guard at one point to make ends meet.
Right.
Yeah, so that's what that was referencing.
Okay.
Sure.
But,
okay.
I mean, good of him to, have a sense of humor about himself in this one.
Yeah, totally.
I do like the phone not being plugged in. I think that's the best joke in that whole thing.
That's good.
The whole 3 prawns is hardly a galaxy.
Seems to have a lot of rice in that container. It's full over the brim.
And then Bart's line later of, he's a few prawns short of a galaxy.
And when they come out of that and they cut back to Gary Coleman and he's there doing karate kicks in midair, I wanted him to be karate kicking books.
Oh, that would have been great.
Like the Kid First Industry Teacher guy. But
it'd make so much sense.
It'd be a nice callback.
Yeah. And even though I kind of rolled my eyes at his whole what you're talking about Lindsay thing, that was like groany, but then when he goes, I knew exactly what she was talking about.
Nice save.
Very nice save. And at the end when he's, what you're talking about, everyone. Such a great tacky ending. Other guest stars, sorry. Yeah, Joe Mantegna as Fat Tony, fucking excellent as always.
Always a pleasure.
Yeah.
There's an episode that I listened to the audio commentary on the DVD of, where they had him on there.
You mean recently or like 15 years ago when you listened to it?
That was a while ago, but it's like one of the later seasons, and they're talking to him, and he's like, I always love coming on the show, and they say, we got this great plot line for you this season where Fat Tony actually dies, he gets killed, and then he gets replaced by his identical twin, Fit Tony. He's like, oh, okay. Like you can just hear that he's not into it.
Because that episode, Donnie Fatso, we gave it a unanimous participant, but it probably should have gotten worse.
It's pretty weak, yes.
Yeah. Even John Hamm's sultry voice couldn't save that.
I'm also starting to really like how not only is the Simpsons Index an online spreadsheet that is also a podcast,
like and subscribe.
But apparently you've memorized it all, because I reckon that's the third time that you've pulled a rating out without having to check your phone. I'm very impressed, Elliot.
I'm actually just did this podcast to justify my encyclopedic knowledge of The Simpsons.
I might start calling you Encarta J. O'Neill. Also, Jekyll, are there any guest stars that you would have wanted to be in this episode? Perhaps your favourite guest star of The Simpsons?
My favourite guest star?
DeVites?
Oh, the DeVites. Old mate DeVito.
DeVito, yeah?
Yeah, I think DeVito should just be a series regular on this. I think DeVito should be in everything, though. So.
Apparently they tried to bring him back multiple times, but he keeps turning them down.
Really?
I'm not sure if that's something that he wanted to know.
Sorry.
Because on several occasions, he's threatened to turn Pods in the Key of Springfield, like and subscribe, into a DeVito-specific podcast.
Look, Danny DeVito, if you're out there, if you and Alyssa Milano are listening to this together... You gotta go back, son.
Oh, man.
You gotta get back on The Simpsons, bro.
Yep.
Although, honestly, kind of that ship has sailed, I think.
Yeah.
By the way, Danny DeVito, still really enjoying Always Sunny. Keep that going.
Oh,
Big fan.
Always Sunny. Other guest stars for this episode, Clarence Clemens was the narrator. I didn't know who this was, looked him up. He was a saxophonist for the Bruce Springsteen's E Street Band.
Oh, yeah, okay. He's the one that's on the album cover then.
Yeah, really, like 7 foot tall black guy, yeah.
Yeah. There's an album cover where Bruce is leaning up against the guy that is the saxophonist, so it must be Clarence Clemens.
Yeah, and apparently he was on Different Strokes as well, tying into Gary Coleman. And
interesting.
Had an amazing career, but unfortunately passed away in 2011 and Gary Coleman in 2010. And the other guest star for this episode playing Jim Hope, the Kid First Industries guy, was Tim Robbins.
Oh, that was Tim Robbins.
Yeah. No, amazing little, wouldn't have even thought about it, sort of cameo.
I don't watch movies. Who's Tim Robbins?
He's the Shawshank Redemption.
Yeah.
He is the Shawshank Redemption.
He's the one who gets redeemed in Shawshank.
Oh, right. Okay. I no idea who that is.
I think he might be married to Susan Sarandon, is he?
Yeah, that's right. So, yes or no, would you watch this episode again?
I would and probably will.
Yeah.
Yes, definitely. Really enjoyed it.
Absolutely. And if you're watching it again, what playlist are you going to put it in? Maybe you're marathoning some Simpsons episodes? Yeah, definitely Christmas episodes.
Yeah, Simpsons Christmas Boogie.
Have you titled the playlist as well as categorized it?
I don't see why you wouldn't.
I love it. It can also go in Bart and Lisa teaming up to do stuff.
Yep. Little Bart and Lisa vigilante work, yeah. Prominent guest stars playing themselves, we've found that. And Fat Tony episodes.
Yeah,
lots of...
episodes that have commentary on capitalism. I'm not sure if that's... Because I feel like whenever the playlist discussion comes up on Simpsons Index, it's often in the reference of being hungover. And I'm not sure if commentary on capitalism is like hungover playlist style thing. But
yeah, well, it comes up because we found the most, in our discussions, the most time you are doing a Simpsons marathon is when
you're hungover.
Yeah. So, Nick, is there anything you'd change about this episode?
Ooh, not really, to be honest.
Yeah.
No, off the top of my head, I can't think of anything I'd change. It was really, really solid.
Yep. James?
Well, I said Gary Coleman felt a little like a tenuous sort of thing in this. I wasn't really sure why a lot of the episode was spent making fun of Gary Coleman. But other than that, I thought it was really strong. I really like, I like that they argue all night, come to the conclusion that the commercialization of Christmas is at best a mixed blessing, because that's kind of like them acknowledging that it's too big a topic to really like delve in deep on what they're doing here. And
yeah, but even when they were at disagreements, they were just so respectful with each other. You're just like, oh my god, why can't Twitter be like this?
I also kind of like that Funzo is basically like a magical object. He's basically Bender from Futurama.
The door that opens and can have anything in it.
Has a pencil sharpener on the side of it. Like I really like this one. I think it's a strong app. Probably if I went back and looked over what else happened in season 11, it's probably one of the better episodes in that season, I would guess.
Yeah, definitely. And even at the end where I thought it was starting to lull when they threw the Funzos on the tire fire, like they brought it back really strong with everybody gathering around the table. And
totally.
And I totally forgot that, they tied Mr. Burns back into what they had him before, donating the money.
And they managed to reset the universe that way because then the school could reopen. Yeah.
Oh, you say he just found the money in like a coat pocket or something? It's,
in his tuxedo pants, I think it was.
I just happened to have a basket of money in here. Although the Mo joke was pretty dark.
Yeah, when it first came on the screen, because I forgot that they had the Mo suicide oven in the head joke.
Not even just the oven in the head, but also the
no
sign
funeral.
Sign on the back.
Which it started being used as like a reaction on Twitter when somebody makes a tweet you don't like.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it's either that or I don't want to live on this planet anymore from Futurama.
Yeah.
But managed to make it nice and sweet as well by him cooking a goose.
Maybe The Simpsons is actually a good show.
I could support that theory.
Yeah.
I'm interested in your views and would like to subscribe to your newsletter. Or perhaps podcast.
Oh, well, actually, Nick, you say that I have a podcast. It's called Pods in the Key of Springfield.
That sounds great.
Is that something I can like and subscribe to?
Definitely.
Maybe. If you click on the right series of buttons, sure.
Yep. Already covered the musical moments. Nick, do you have any other notes about this episode?
I do enjoy that the joke Homer has about Mr. Burns releases the hounds on every charity, including, and then lists a bunch, and even release the hounds.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Oh, that was great.
That's my last note.
James, any other notes?
I feel like this episode showcases peak period Ralph. I feel like Ralph is a difficult character that The Simpsons often struggles to hit the right tone with. And I feel like in this one where he's just like, he's like obviously slow, but he's also kind of fun. And you could believe that other kids would kind of like him. I think that's the right tone to hit with Ralph. I think this is good Ralph period. And then they completely fuck him in like a season or two, I think.
When he gets the speech impediment.
Yeah,
sure.
Have you guys seen the episode where he becomes president of the United States of America?
It's bad. It's a bad app.
It just horrendously, and one of those ones where you're watching it the whole time. What the fuck are we watching?
Man, imagine someone as stupid as Ralph being president of the United States.
or stupider.
Just imagine.
All right, and now it's time for the last of my notes, quickfire style.
Quickfire style.
I like the gag with the silly string where Bart draws Milhouse on Lisa.
Yes.
I thought that was a good bit of animation there. And so at the hospital after Bart breaks his coccyx, when Dr. Hibbert's just like doing the defibrillator on his butt. Do you need to do that? Well, it's just good for the batteries.
I'm a big fan of the viewing window on the...
What was with that?
See,
you gotta see that butthole.
Yeah, see, I found it really weird that because they could have done the viewing window gag without centering the camera on Bart's little crack. I found that a bit confronting.
Yeah.
Sure, I really like how excited those students are to see this butt.
Yeah,
Ooh,
totally.
a 10-year-old's asshole. Great.
Especially considering moments before it was uncovered for a solid 3 minutes, but it's the viewing window that gets people excited, you know?
That was really weird. And yeah, Tony, Fat Tony in this episode where he's like getting all philosophical and, you know, does a peacock need all them feathers and all that sort of stuff. And
So it happens in the autumn years.
that's the line. Yeah. I really liked Fat Tony and Skinner's interactions in this episode. I like how, Tony drives away with a money sack as well. And something interesting.
So cartoony, it's good.
Yeah. And something interesting I read the other day, apparently Gene Simmons from Kiss owns the trademark for that.
What, a bag of money?
What, a bag of money?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
That's insane.
Apparently the patent ran out and he jumped on it, so he can sue anyone that draws a bag of money without his permission or cutting him in.
That's genuinely confusing.
Fucking Gene Simmons, man.
What are you doing, Gene Simmons?
He also tried to patent the devil horns that you make when you go to a metal show.
Gene Simmons, if you're listening, get Danny DeVito to check us out.
And I'll just pull you up on one thing there. When you go to a metal show or like an Avril Lavigne gig, and I say that as an unapologetic Avril Lavigne fan.
You are what we call a skater boy.
Thank you.
Yeah, she said, see you later, boy. You weren't good enough for her. That's the...
You're sounding like a modern Quimby. A skater boy.
Boy. You might say I feel like Radiation Man.
Sick.
I like that Mo was wearing bread bags for shoes. Again, another just quick little animation bit. Didn't linger.
Didn't have anyone saying, why are you wearing bread bags for shoes?
Yeah. Jeez, Mo.
Mamma mia, Mo.
It's a me, Mo. Anyway, Super Mo Odyssey.
Was that Mo Rio?
I guess, yeah.
Sick.
Mo Rio.
Worry Mo.
Much better, yeah.
Much better. I'm glad I went for the second round. Fuck.
I didn't really like the joke about the severance package being Valencia oranges. I don't know.
I'm
silly.
laughing now thinking about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess it is line of, these are a juice orange. Like, that kind of plays.
That's a joke that feels like someone in the writing room just discovered what Valencia oranges were
Yeah.
and the fact that they are juice oranges, not table oranges.
I think
and then
it works because they were in a gift basket. If it had just been a bag of oranges, I don't think it would have been good. But I think
it's the gift
fact
basket.
that yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting.
It's a really weird bit, and it doesn't really belong, but I've always quoted this over the years, and it's Wiggum's impression of Ed Sullivan.
Really sure.
Sure. I think it's just a fun voice to do.
Yep, that's it.
Yep. Krusty's line of going through all the religious holidays, you know, have a quasi Kwanzaa and a solemn dignified Ramadan.
Tip-top Tet is something I often say. Even though I'm not sure what religion celebrates Tet. I've never looked into it.
No, me neither.
It's something I say.
Yeah.
I'm into it. Just going back to impressions for a moment.
Yeah.
Something I found when doing Pods in the Key of Springfield, the podcast that James and I host, is that I always thought I was pretty good at impressions and accents, and then hearing it back on a recorded medium has made me realize I'm fucking terrible at it, to the point where the other day I copped some criticism on Twitter.
Oh, really?
We did Brush with Fame, the Ringo episode.
Oh, yeah.
And someone called me out and said, yeah, you went to do a Ringo voice, but you were doing Yorkshire, not Liverpool. And yeah, I know. And
that's a weird one because we both do about 6 different voices for Ringo.
But the thing about that is, like, I've always kind of had a bit of pride in the accuracy of my regional accents.
Yeah.
Turns out if I have to pull them out on demand, they're terrible. And it's very, very depressing. So have you, in the process of doing the Simpsons Index, listened back and gone, ooh, my Marge isn't as good as I thought it was. See? Oh. See? Oh. B.
Yeah, I can do an accent of Tobias or Bruno Drundridge all right, but...
Tobias!
Yeah, so the ad with the Funzo as well... Back to what you were saying, it can do everything. I like that. It also has firepower. Just shoots his sister. He's like, yeah. And the other kid who like drops his little puppy dog as soon as he sees it. Just like little great animation bit of animals suffering. Yep, I realize I'm an awful person.
I like the kids missing a tooth as well. That's like a nice little drawing bit.
Definitely. The mob going from muttering to door smashing in 22 seconds.
Yeah, not sure why they were in a spa watching that watching a live feed on a TV screen.
They're making spa jacuzzi money now,
and a live multi-camera feed too of a shop being broken into.
Yep. But, I mean, the animation of Lenny, like, just immediately breaking the door with a candy cane.
I can't wait till the store opens.
Into it.
And, yeah, I'd be satisfied if I saw some trampling. Why would you wear cleats to a store? Oh, poor Mo. Gary Coleman had a funny line, which was his biggest ripoff since Webster.
That went over my head because I don't engage with content.
Webster was Emmanuel Lewis.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
For a tiny moment there, I thought you were going to say Webster. Sorry, when you said Webster, I was like, what, the dictionary? And then you
were
said...
going to provide the definition of...
Yeah, and then you said Emmanuel, and I didn't pick it as a name. I was like, what? Are you about to tell me a dictionary is a manual for words?
That's what they should call it. Word manual.
A word manual.
Oh, garage.
Dictionary. Oh, loo-da-dee-da.
It's a manual for words. See, I'm going to listen back to that and go, my Mo's not very good.
Was that not Danny DeVito?
I ruined.
Oh, that was excellent. And my last note is, when Homer's trying to convince Gary Coleman to come over, my wife makes too much stuffing and too much sweet potatoes. I just love the way he says that. Potatoes.
But, so, sweet potatoes, right? So there's a cooking website that I go to all the time because they do a really sciencey approach to food. And I'm interested in both science and food.
You fucking nerd.
I know.
I've actually noticed all your Nigella and Jamie Oliver books here.
Yeah, heaps. SeriousEats.com.
Yep.
It's an American-based website that does a science approach to food. But around this time of year, in kind of like mid to late November, that website becomes incomprehensible for me as an Australian because all their recipes become Thanksgiving stuff.
Yeah.
So, have you heard of sweet potato casserole?
What?
This is apparently a traditional American Thanksgiving dish, right?
Yeah.
Essentially, it's mashed sweet potatoes with some like herbs and spices and salt and pepper. So that's okay. Mashed sweet potatoes, sure. Lay that out in the bottom of a casserole dish. Then on top of it, you put marshmallows, and then you put them under the grill to melt the marshmallows.
Excuse me?
I don't care for
Yes. What the fuck? America, look, Elliot, I know you've got some American listeners. I want them to write in and try to defend this abomination of a dish. I just feel like Americans are scared of vegetables because sweet potatoes are fucking great.
Yeah.
And then they go, not sweet enough, needs marshmallow. I don't get it. Not into it.
Oh my God, who was the first one that... But, I mean, have you guys been to the States?
He has. I haven't.
Yeah, I've been a few times.
Literally cover everything with cheese.
Yeah, and it's horrible cheese as well.
Yeah, the liquid nacho cheese.
Yeah,
Is that the aerosol stuff from the can?
It can be, yeah.
Orange bullshit.
Yeah.
Americans listening, your cheese is not great.
But yeah, they do have a weird obsession with marshmallows as well, because then there's the fluffernutter sandwiches, which is a thing.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, the marshmallow fluff with peanut. But yeah.
What the hell?
I just don't get it.
Well, I guess we eat Vegemite, so there we go. All right, well, if that's it, I think it is time to rank this thing.
Rank this thing.
Jack will kick it off.
What's the one just below cubic zirconia?
It goes cubic zirconia, gold, silver, bronze for the good rankings.
Okay, what's the distinction between gold and silver?
Silver's great, gold is excellent.
And cubic zirconia is
essential.
Is essential. Okay.
So essentially gold and cubic are the same rank, except cubic is separated because we say to experience The Simpsons, you have to watch this episode.
Right, okay.
Okay. I think I'm maybe inclined to go silver then.
Silver's great.
In that case, I think it's right on the cusp of being gold for me. I found it very funny. I feel like maybe some of my laughter was prompted by the fact that I hated the other episode. But I think this is a very strong season 11 episode that stands up there with the really, is not necessarily like my favorite episode or like in the absolute top list, but it's a very strong episode that I was very happy to watch again.
Yeah. I'll say for me, like on a theoretical level, I feel like I should go silver, but I had just too much fun with this one, so I'm going gold. Yeah, I don't think it's essential, but yeah, if you chuck this one on, you're going to have a great time. And round us off, Nick.
Yeah, I'm going to go silver as well. And my justification for going silver is, while I really, really enjoyed it, it's not an episode that I've remembered and that's stuck in my head.
Yeah.
Like, it actually caught me off guard at how much I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Which is a weird kind of, really enjoyable, but clearly it's not one that's stuck in my head the way that, Marge versus the Monorail or all those other episodes have. So for me, I think it's hitting silver because whilst it's very enjoyable, I'm probably going to forget about it in another couple of weeks.
No, that's
and
fair
then,
enough.
Eventually we'll get to it in our podcast, Plus in the Key of Springfield,
Like
which
and
is a podcast
subscribe.
you can like and subscribe to, yes.
No, absolutely. Well, this will be a shiny silver all over. This will be joining such episodes as Monty Can't Buy Me Love, the Loch Ness Monster one.
I don't like that episode.
We had some mixed feelings, but overall we found it like really funny. A Hunker Hunker Burns in Love, where Burns starts dating a woman like a fifth of his age. He's really old, isn't he? Weekend at Burnsies, the famous weed episode.
Oh, yeah.
Children of a Lesser Clod, where Homer opens a daycare after the scabby knee thing, and Springfield Up, where they sort of do the 7-Up documentary parody, but in Springfield. So yeah, these are all sort of solid, funny episodes that have got some fundamental problems.
Yeah, it's interesting. I feel like that episode was better than some of those, but
yeah,
I feel like we all gave it the right ranking. So
yeah.
No, absolutely.
I'm a harsh critic.
All right, now we are going all the way back to the classic era now, where we're going back to season 6 and doing Lisa's Rival.
Ooh.
Very excited.
Very.
Oh.
All right, we'll be back. And we are back, and we just watched our classic and final episode for today, which was Season 6, Episode 2, Lisa's Rival. First released in September of 1994, written by Mike Scully. And in this episode, there's a new girl in Springfield, Allison.
What?
Yeah, and she's even better than Lisa at everything. I thought Lisa was the smart one. Also in the B story, Homer gets a whole pile of sugar and we watch as he tries to sell it. And it's amazing. Guys, what did you think?
Love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like television. And this was an episode of a television show, so I enjoyed it. Yeah.
This was an episode of television.
Yeah, I am a huge fan of the B story in this one. The A story I think is great, but the B story is like an all-timer.
Oh, it's
Now,
sensational.
Now, when you say the B story, do you mean the secondary story or do you mean the story that relates to the bees?
Nick, you diabolical.
I'm afraid I don't understand. Oh, it's just excellent. I love those characters. So
Great.
In doing my research for the show, I found that although Mike Scully wrote it, Conan O'Brien actually pitched the A story for this episode to give Lisa a foil, and the whole sugar thing was George Meyer's idea as well, and he's one of my big favorite Simpsons writers. Guys, what's some jokes that stood out to you? Start with you, Nick.
Obviously the big takeaway from this episode, I think maybe the most quoted bit from this episode is the whole, here's a ball, perhaps you'd like to bounce it. It got away from you,
You keep at it.
Yeah, that stuff I see people use a lot. My favourite takeaway line is when Mole Man says, if only the sugar was as sweet as you. I use that often.
Yep. That was great. And I like how he's peeling off the "How am I driving" sticker.
Yeah, totally.
It's actually funny. After about a week and a half of having my P plates, I got in a major car accident, rode off my car, and it was totally my fault.
Oh, no.
Everybody was fine. But I had the unfortunate thing that I'd gotten my brother's old car, and he had a sticker on it that said, don't like my driving, dial 1-800-EAT-SHIT.
Nice.
And so here's my car that I essentially turned into a ramp for a Jeep.
Jesus.
It hit me head on, it flipped, and then here's my car
Holy shit.
with a big "How am I driving" sticker.
Wow. Well, I'm at least glad that it was dial 1-800-EAT-SHIT, because I've seen there's a bumper sticker that I've seen around Adelaide a few times where it's "Don't like my driving? Email me at www.gofuckyourself@yourplace.com." And I'm like, that makes no sense.
That's not an email address.
That's not the syntax of an email address.
No.
/ Gmail. Hashtag.
Oh, my
Hashtag
God, that's
mad
terrible.
Yeah, pretty terrible.
James, what's a joke that stood out to you from this episode?
One that jumped out at me that I'd kind of forgotten was in this episode is when Lisa imagines a future where she is the member of a band that's made up of the second best members of a bunch of other bands.
Yes.
And then she wakes up in their fantasy saying, why would they come to our concert just to boo us?
Oh, that was so great. Like, I love how they sort of shine a spotlight on some of the fantasy sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah, in that one as well, it was, Garfunkel, Oates, and Messina, who I didn't know, but apparently he was in a band with Kenny Loggins. Like,
Jesus.
Yeah.
Danger zone.
Man.
Imagine being the second banana to Kenny Loggins.
Totally.
Yeah, joke that stood out to me immediately. Man, Ralph was just on top form in this episode. Like at the start where he doesn't know what Lisa just said. My cat's name is Mittens. And then when Hoover, I love these things where they sort of have another character do the character's joke for them, if that makes any sense, where Miss Hoover goes, oh, this better not be about your cat.
Yeah, totally.
Really gives you a clue into Ralph's character. Nick, for better or worse, what's a moment from the story that stood out to you?
The moment that stood out to me is when they start playing the anagram game and Lisa fails at Jeremy Irons, because what I did was go to an anagram website.
For our hit podcast, pause in the key of Springfield, like and subscribe.
Because this has happened a few times where I've dived down an anagram hole.
That sounds sexy.
My man cave, my anagram cave. So here are my top 4 anagrams of what you could turn Jeremy Irons into. Number 4, Jersey Minor. I don't know if Jeremy Irons is from Jersey.
I think he's from Britain.
Yep, well, that's not going to work. Then he could have been wearing a jersey.
Ah, yep.
Yeah, or a rugby top, as we would call it. Mr. Noisy Jeer, which is pretty good.
Yeah, okay.
And then in the world where Jeremy Irons is a Middle Ages marriage counsellor, he would have been known as Rejoin Ye Misses. And then in one where he was in a Friends spin-off as the local bathhouse manager, where he would be called Rinse Mr. Joey. This has been Nick's Anagram Corner. Nick's Anagram Corner.
The Anagram Corner. I like that. In the Joey spin-off, that was an unreleased episode.
Yeah, totally. Very weird episode. Just 23 minutes of Joey sitting in a bath going, I'm not comfortable with any of this.
Hey, James, what's a moment from the story that stood out to you?
Well, it's largely the whole sugar thing, I suppose. It's like
it's amazing.
The moment where he pulls the English guy out of the pile of sugar, and he says, "Where'd you get that sugar from? I nicked it when you let your guard down." That is so absurd.
Yeah.
But this is the kind of absurdity that The Simpsons was able to do at this point and get away with.
And very small touch of why I like that joke. They went with nicked it rather than stole it.
Yeah.
It's those little details that I really dig.
Absolutely. And that they bring him back again with the spit take as the sugar's melting.
And the whole sugar thing is such a ridiculous plot line, wall to wall. Everything that happens in it is so heightened and silly, but it works. It's so goofy and fun.
Good.
And ridiculous and like singular. Like, this feels like an idea that came out of a human mind rather than just like a by committee series of decisions that didn't go anywhere interesting, like in that first episode we watched.
Totally.
Absolutely. And it's one of these things that, it's a ridiculous idea, but they managed to make it work, and that you're just along for the ride on the whole thing. And even with Skinner and the daughter to a sugar man. And tying into Skinner's character as well, he gets grounded because he talked to the sugar man.
Mom, I'm talking to the sugar man.
And I don't think I ever noticed this before, but yeah, as Homer's waiting for Skinner to come to the door, he sneaks a little trowel of sugar into his mouth.
Sneaks a little trowel of sugar is a wonderful phrase.
Oh, Homer. So, play count. How many times before today have you seen this episode, do you think?
Ooh, I'm going to give the same bracket as last time, between 20 and 30. Probably, maybe more? I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm thinking 50 plus maybe on this one.
50 plus?
It feels like a serious possibility.
Yeah.
Although, I don't know. Maybe it just feels that way because I feel like I've lived in this episode.
Oh, absolutely. Like, I know for a fact that I taped this one. I can still remember my little Simpsons VHS compilation. And
you mixtape.
Oh, yeah. Had the ads removed and everything. And
so you were sitting there with the pause and the record button.
Oh, yeah, man. 10-year-old me could work a VCR like no one else.
I mean, this one was in heavy rotation back in the Channel 10, every weeknight at 6 o'clock kind of thing. So maybe I have seen it more than 30 times, but...
Yeah, I keep forgetting that there was a long time there where Simpsons and dinner were just intertwined with each other. And then Neighbours if you felt a bit full. Any impactful moments, quotes and stuff that have stuck with you over the years?
I mean, the whole anagram thing definitely has stuck with me. Jeremy Irons. But also, like, Homer's monologue.
Amazing.
Where he just sort of breaks down and says, I can't live the bun-down life like you. I want it all. The dizzying highs, the terrifying lows, the creamy middles. And yes, I may offend some of the, what does he say? It's the
well-to-do about town or something?
Some of the blue noses with my cocky stride and musky odors. I'll never be the darling of the so-called city fathers who clock their tongues, stroke their beards and say what's to be done with this Homer Simpson. That whole thing.
I have a feeling you've memorized that.
It's in here somewhere.
It's in there somewhere. That's good.
Yeah, but that scene is so ridiculously awesome, and that because that's the one where the English guy hiding in the sugar is. Even saying it out loud, it's hilariously ridiculous. And then the whole Scarface monologue.
First you get the sugar. And when they introduce the beekeepers, I love how those characters arrive and have maybe like 4 lines between them, but they feel so fully formed. Like you get a full sense of who these people are and what their lives look like. It's quiet here today. Yes, a little too quiet. Perfect.
And that one's like, it seemed very Adam Westy. Like,
because as I was watching it, I'm like, oh, that's definitely reminiscent of someone. And
just with the pauses and or maybe even a bit Shatnery as well.
Simpson, you diabolical.
Yeah, that's definitely Adam West.
To the Beamerville.
You mean your Chevy?
Yes.
First you'll get the sugar, then you'll get the power, then you'll get the women. Good.
That sounded really good in the headphones, dude.
It'll come out later and I'll be like, that was a bad Homer doing Al Pacino. So many levels of impression there. Anything that may have flown over your head from back in the day that you only just picked up on now?
Oh,
good question. I guess I hadn't seen Scarface till I was about 19, if that counts.
I mean, I reckon that when I was younger, I probably didn't pick up the fact that Lisa's suggesting that Marge should fuck Skinner. When she's saying, maybe you could be a little bit nicer. And she gives a bit of a hip shake. And I was like, oh, right, shit, okay.
But I don't even know what Marge was thinking then. Like, Lisa, I am nice.
That's a great line reading as well.
Very good line reading.
Did this feel like an episode of The Simpsons?
Yes.
Yeah, this is very much what I would think of The Simpsons as being.
Yeah, characters are all on point. No one's off. No one feels out of place. No. Even like how they sort of introduced Bart into the story felt really organic to me. Let's talk about the wackiness of this episode.
The wackiness.
So, Bart tips off Milhouse to the feds or something. He gets his photo on America's Most Wanted. That's it.
Yeah, that's
so over the top. It's great.
Yeah,
but I think, as we've said a few times now, it's done quickly and they don't hang on it too long.
Yeah. The whole Milhouse Fugitives thing is like 3 scenes.
Yeah,
tops.
I always wondered if they do they want to do like a Milhouse fugitive scene and they work backwards from there and like justify why they could do that scene.
Well, we already animated it, so
they
we got to get it in.
They just want to show him jumping out and saying, "My glasses." Like there's somebody just seen The Fugitive and like, you know what? let's do this.
Yeah.
Can we just do this?
But it's amazing as well because it could have just been a throwaway bit, but no, at the end when Milhouse comes back, they have him shown with the broken glasses. So
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
like we're talking about, the new Simpsons can be so forgetful sometimes. This is just goddamn perfect.
Really good.
And then, and in the initial car chase when Milhouse is like, oh no, not again. This guy's been tailing him for weeks.
A line that I've just seen in my notes that I really enjoy is when Bart has his plan for how to get Allison, and it's just basically spray with a hose. But the detail of leaving us relatively dry, well, there's bound to be some splashback. That is, again, a nice bit of pedantic and unnecessary detail, and I'm a huge fan of pedantic detail.
I enjoy the way Bart is operating his pranking like it's a business in this
Yes.
episode. Like taking notes, handing out business cards.
Totally.
Oh yeah, and his little tape recorder that he stops to record more laughter.
More laughter. It's great. And his note to himself of next time get fewer business cards.
Yeah.
Jackal, how are we going with the number of business cards that we've got printed? Are we about right, or are
Well, we printed 250. We've handed out maybe 20. I don't know.
we... Sounds like a pretty good ratio to me.
Yeah.
It's the smallest amount they would let me print.
Fair enough.
How about the heart of this episode? I felt
The beating
bumps.
of the hideous heart.
There were the bumps.
The telltale heart.
Yeah, it came at a really good resolution, I thought. Like, even Allison had a right to be mad at Lisa, but yeah. No, they just came together at the end and Lisa accepted and, they all grew a little.
Yeah, that was good.
Yeah, even though Ralph won the diorama competition because Skinner apparently is a massive Star Wars nerd.
And in the early 90s when this was, made, was Star Wars as big a thing as it is now, or was it in like a lull period?
Well, they hadn't brought out the special edition yet, so probably it was a little harder to watch.
And it was
Prequels.
vastly pre-prequels.
Yeah, Phantom Menace was 99, so this is well before.
It's interesting because like I'm not like I've seen literally 95 seconds of Star Wars.
Oh wow!
Yeah, of any of the 4 million movies, and
they're just several 1-second clips interspersed.
Yeah, and so whenever I see a thing come up like this, I'm like, oh, that's interesting, because I don't think Star Wars was very big in the early 90s, or maybe it was. I don't know.
No, I think it was one of those things where it had its fandom, but it wasn't a thing that was persistently in pop culture, other than shows referencing it.
I think it would have been huge with like the people who were the age of the writers of The Simpsons, probably children.
Sure.
I'm kind of pulling this out of my ass a little bit, but I don't think.
Well, no, I mean, I even go back to Clerks, Kevin Smith movie. You guys seen that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
Well, they have a massive conversation about Star Wars in that, and Kevin Smith said at the time, these are the conversations I wanted to hear in movies,
Yeah.
And so, I'd say definitely in the early 90s, Star Wars wasn't definitely not the monster it is these days.
But even then, like when this episode came out, Return of the Jedi was only 11 years old, so it wasn't something in the distant past.
Yeah, that's right. It came out in like 84 or something, didn't it?
83, I think.
Yeah.
Return of the Jedi.
Yeah, crazy.
I'm sure if I'm wrong on that, someone will correct me. It's
Corrections index.
Star Wars fans tend to.
Well, actually, yeah. But yeah, the heart moments. I really just did like Lisa's growth in this episode. And it was a really interesting idea to have someone smarter than her challenging her and all that stuff. Yeah, I thought it was really good. Yes or no?
To watching it again?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I'd imagine I'll watch this again many times, probably for our podcast.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we'll probably hit this in a couple of weeks actually.
A couple of years at this point.
Oh yeah, sorry.
This is season 6. We're on to
Yeah.
season 3.
Oh fuck.
Yeah.
Shit, you guys are already up to season 3. Oh, because you guys are doing like
we
2
did
episodes.
2. Yeah, we're
Yeah.
rocking along.
Yeah. Oh,
2 episodes per episode.
Yeah, that's good.
It doesn't get confusing at all to talk about it in those terms.
So what playlist would you put this one in? Definitely Lisa-centric episodes?
The ones that are in some way touched by Conan O'Brien, I think. I know this one wasn't written by Conan O'Brien, but I tend to think of it as an O'Brien episode.
Yeah. Like, we mentioned the writers because sometimes episodes do have a feeling that's closely tied with the writers, but, I mean, these things are a camel. They're written by many, many people.
Yep.
Could this go in Lisa and Bart teaming up playlist? Do you think it's got enough of a connection to that?
Yeah, there's a bit of an antagonistic sort of thing between them. It's a lot of fun to explore.
Fun.
Yeah.
And, of course, sugar playlists.
Yeah.
Of course, yes. Is this and the movie Sugar, which is a very good baseball movie.
And that one scene of sugar, sugar, do. Oh, honey.
You are my...
Oh, yeah, and tied in with the Candy Convention episode. And
Candy Convention, yeah.
Yeah, where Homer blows up a candy convention, killing everyone inside.
Killing possibly hundreds.
Yeah.
Those are all good playlists.
And the rest of the series
is a Sugar Rush Death Dream.
Sugar Rush Death Dream.
Yeah.
That sounds like an album that I would have bought in the early noughties. That's great.
What sort of music? New metal or what was around in the early noughties? Rap rock?
No, I'm thinking more like a Sum 41 bubblegum pop punk.
Yeah.
Sugar Rush Death Dream.
Yeah, SoCal punk, definitely.
Yeah, totally. If Simple Plan were a bit faster. If Simple Plan were faster, they would have been, album would have been called Sugar Rush Death Dream.
That's great. We've got this weird run of accidentally inventing bands on the index. We've got a funk band called Super Queen and the Groove Tuners.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
We have a prog band called The New Unborn, and a bunch of crazy ones. Nick, is there anything you'd change about this episode?
No, not really.
No, it's pretty tight. James?
I feel like it would be presumptuous for me to try to fuck with classic Simpsons in any way.
Yeah, I will say, I felt the first act, especially in comparison to the last one we watched, was more story, less jokes, and it sort of didn't... I felt like the ball started rolling when Homer and the sugar was introduced.
Yeah.
Yeah, because especially it opens up with that frame of Homer eating pizza with Bart steering.
Totally. But yeah, that the last episode we watched definitely hit the ground running.
Yeah.
More.
Yeah. Absolutely. Guest stars for this episode. Do you guys know who played Allison?
Winona Ryder.
That is correct.
Winona Ryder.
Yeah.
Oh, I have no trivia about Winona Ryder.
Winona Ryder, now that she's on Stranger
Convicted
Things.
of shoplifting. That's my trivia for Winona Ryder.
Yeah, but she's a lot more than that. Winona Ryder's really
Are you
good.
sure?
Yes. Yes. This is a whole thing because she her career collapsed.
Yeah.
And it was completely unfair. It's this sort of bullshit thing where
okay.
Now that's all anyone remembers Winona Ryder for. But
no, I think she's gotten it back with Stranger Things. She owned that role.
The funny thing is, watching her on Stranger Things, Winona Ryder is gorgeous, and she always has been, always will be, I think. But it's making me realize how old I am because I watched that, and it's no longer and this is very specific to Stranger Things. But I watch, and I don't think, I'd love to, hang out with Winona Ryder or marry her. It's I'd love to marry her and be the stepfather to her kid.
Warning, there are some spoilers for Stranger Things Season 2. That's right, Stranger Things Season 2. So skip forward a minute and you will avoid the spoilers. This is a bad song. Back to the show.
I'd love to marry her and be the stepfather to her kid.
Sean Astin's dead now in the... Oh, shit, spoilers, sorry. Do you plan on watching Stranger Things?
No, I don't engage with content.
Did I just ruin it for you? Have
No,
you
I've
finished
seen it. I've seen it.
Good.
But those kids are so much fun. I just want to hang out with those kids.
They keep getting abducted by horrible...
Yeah, Demogorgons. I'd be able to deal with that, I think.
Demogorg.
Yeah, I'd be able to hang out with Gaten Manzano, I think.
Yeah, loved Stranger Things.
Steve Harrington, all the kids.
Yeah. How weird was it they paired him up with Dustin towards the end?
The best thing they could have done.
I know. I
love those characters.
Why is this happening? And then after, I'm why doesn't it happen more? Anyway, I could go on forever about Stranger Things. But yeah, Winona Ryder, I thought she did a really good job in this episode.
Yeah, she's great.
Will Anderson has a dog named after Winona Ryder.
Really?
That's the second bit of trivia I have on Winona Ryder.
Is the dog just called Winona?
It's a French bulldog called Winona, and he's had it for about 6 or something years. So pre-Stranger Things.
Good name.
Yeah,
Winona.
pretty good name. Yeah.
Winona.
Why no not Nona? Sorry, that didn't even make any sense.
Yeah, and
I was swinging for the fences with that pun.
Yeah, we're all doing confused Winona Ryder face right now. Have you seen when they were accepting the Emmy?
Yeah, when what's his face? The guy who plays the sheriff is like giving that basically
anti-Trump,
yeah, about fighting fascism.
And she just looks like there's a bee in the room. That's really confusing.
And she scrolls through every possible emotion. It's great. It's like someone was scrolling through an emoji page, but it was a Winona Ryder emoji page.
Oh, Winojis. That almost made sense.
Yeah, that'll do. Emoji riders? No.
James, any other notes about this episode?
Yeah, I got a few here and there. Let's see. Which of these is important? I really like when Lisa's diorama blows out the window.
Yeah.
And Bart looks at it and says, the important thing is that we survived. I feel like that's a line that I use in a lot of different contexts.
Yeah.
And also just, she put so much time and effort and it's immediately...
Absolutely. And Jordan's anal corner, there were clearly not 75 cutouts in there.
Yeah, far fewer.
That's a good point. I was actually wondering if we could do a Jordan's anal corner without Jordan being here.
Oh, absolutely. The spirit of the anal corner lives on even if Jordan is absent.
Well, it's nice to know that Jordan's anal corner reaches across state boundaries.
His anal corner is for all.
Talking about Bart running his pranking like a business, I also really like that in line with his plan just being to like get Allison wet with a hose, his diversion is literally just him jumping around saying, look at me, everyone.
And then their reaction, hey, he's doing stuff. Let's look at him.
I can't take my eyes off him. He's doing stuff.
This is also...
Bart, stop creating a diversion.
This is also somewhat significantly the only episode I can think of that acknowledges how ridiculous it is that the kids at Springfield Elementary are given the level of work that they're given. Because when Lisa says to Allison, it's really great to meet someone else who's also at like a...
intellectual equal or...
a grade 2 level. Like it's very on the nose. Because I remember watching The Simpsons when I was very young and thinking, fuck, school's going to be a bit much.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it is amazing, like, how they play with, like, how advanced Bart and Lisa actually are, because at times you're like, okay, you're playing this like they're in high school or something. Like, they're only 8 and 10.
Totally.
This one, I mean, even though it was a bit advanced, like, I fucking never knew Telltale Heart when I was in year 2.
Yeah, I didn't read that until I was, like, 17, 18.
Yeah.
It's a good story. Read stuff, you nerd.
I've been known to read.
Yeah, any other notes?
Other acronyms. My favorite celebrity acronym.
Anagram?
Yes, anagram. My favorite celebrity anagram, I should say.
English teacher?
Yeah, well, Poverty's perfect. My favorite one is, do you know the one for Clint Eastwood?
No.
Oh.
Old West Action.
Fuck.
That's excellent.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
I know.
That's genuinely made me happy.
Oh, man, he's lucky. I ran my name through an anagram thing and I got toenail jelly oil.
Fuck, that's pretty good.
I guess.
I ran my name through an anagram thing a long time ago and got China's pole cutters.
I don't know what that could mean.
Don't know how I feel about that.
I had a friend at school who, so I used to sit in year 11 chemistry and manually do anagrams. And
oh wow.
Yeah, I was that kind of pedantic fuckhead. One of my friends, his name anagrammed to bra for 10 men. Just the one. Spread across 10 men.
Yep.
I'm just 410. Okay, it's not who I thought it was. Okay.
No. That would have been amazing.
All right, time for my quick fire notes.
Quick fire notes. Quick fire.
I like how Marge, to get some quiet time, gives Homer her very expensive camera.
Yeah.
And he's just got a drill and he's hammering the drill into the camera.
He fucks it. He fucks it right and proper.
Yeah. What do you guys think of her fantasy sequences as well with the pirate guy?
One thing that I've always said on Pods in the Key of Springfield, like and subscribe, is I really like that Marge and Homer have an active sex life that is a part of the tapestry of the show.
Yeah.
And Marge sometimes gets horny. I like that. I think that's good. It's healthy. It's nice. I like it.
It's good.
Yeah.
And especially in like this, I don't know, Fabio Boons and Mills.
I also like that even in the fantasy she's having, it's kind of implied the pirate might be gay.
Yes, totally.
Is that what that earring means?
But like, she's oblivious even within her own dreams to things like that.
Yeah, she is nice. I've never made Miss Hoover yowie. And after that, Lisa and Allison have this awesome exchange with the Me Too thing happening, and I love how you can read Lisa's emotions on each Me Too.
Yeah, totally.
Yardley Smith is killing it.
Yeah, sometimes like she's gritting through her teeth and then she's depressed, and I thought that was just some brilliant acting right there. The pun of Texas tea sweetener.
I enjoyed that one.
Yeah, this was one actually where I was like laughing before the joke happened. This is how many times I have seen it. At the dinner table as well. What did he feed them? Like, what was
just a
you're
pile
into
of
cooking?
mush.
Yeah, it seemed to just be a sugary gruel.
With glass and broken nails.
But like a solid gruel. Also,
Kind of sweet they still tried to eat it.
yeah, very.
Also, they don't normally eat dinner at that table.
The breakfast table.
Yeah,
Oh.
they,
That's true.
They're normally in the dining room when it's dinner time.
It's how bad Homer is at making food.
Yeah, apparently they didn't want to break out the good room.
Yeah.
Astonishing.
Can't imagine having two separate dining tables.
It seems so wasteful, doesn't it?
Yeah, I don't even have one.
No. I mean, everyone's got a lap.
Yeah.
Don't even need plates or bowls. Tip it right in.
Marge, why don't we have any clear plates? And I love in that scene as well that Homer had his own Farmer Homer's brand sugar bag already made up, and that it's already broken and leaking shit. Jimbo slapped Martin with a tambourine. I wrote that down for a reason.
He drops his loot and it breaks. It's great.
My loot. And yeah, the scene with the saxophone duel, something I never noticed before as well, is that in at least one of Lisa's like big solos, you can see her stopping to take a breath, whereas Allison never did.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, just awesome bit of like intentional foreshadowing for the her passing out twice. And this is not a dream.
I love that they take the time to make that joke.
Yeah. No, they really did. Like, somehow these older episodes are so crammed, yet, they're not afraid to take their time and really draw it out, but in a good way. And in the Homer guarding the mountain of sugar, that sunrise looked beautiful.
Totally.
Actually, in the last episode, you mentioned there was a good panning shot when Lisa discovers
when she looks in through the little crack.
Yeah. Amazing bit of like backlighting and, old overexposure animation tricks that they used to do these episodes. Looks great. Yeah, it's weird that these old ones can somehow look better than the new high-def ones with all these tricks. And Homer's final line that closes out the sugar thing, man wasn't meant to have this much sugar. I guess that's why God portions it out in those tiny packages from his plantation in Hawaii. What?
It's an odd line.
Yeah, I like that he thinks God's responsible for sugar packets.
And lives in Hawaii.
Yeah. All right, that's all my notes. So you guys ready to rank this thing?
Ready to rank.
Let's rank this thing.
Rank this thing.
Eloquent. Nick, kick us off.
Yeah, I'm probably going to go silver again for this one. I feel like I feel like I enjoyed this as much as the last one.
Sure.
It had a different rhythm to it, but overall I feel like it was a silver for me.
Yep, fair enough. James?
Yeah, I feel like the A plot is a silver and the B plot is a gold. So I think I'm probably going to have to average out to like a high silver. Hi-ho silver away.
Hi-ho silver away.
Yeah.
Wow, you're going silver as well?
I think so. I think, I don't know. The B plot is genuinely one of my favorite things the show has ever done, though. So I'm kind of a little conflicted going silver. I do feel like I laughed more watching the previous episode, and I gave that a silver. But this is such a, I don't know, this one's so ingrained in my head at this point.
Yeah.
Would you say it was seminal?
Would I say that's seminal? All right. Maybe I have to go gold on this one because the whole sugar subplot is magnificent.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's definitely a lot better than any of the episodes you named earlier as other episodes that I ranked silver. So fuck it. Let's say gold. Give it a gold.
Well, yeah, I'm going gold as well. There is just something about it that's not getting the cubic ranking from me. I don't know. It's just a general... I think, like you said, it was just not as joke heavy, and maybe coming from the last episode sort of highlights that, but also... watching it did feel like Act 1 was lacking a bit. But yeah, overall, this is fantastic. I think everyone should go out and see it.
Yeah, Simpsons is good.
I think that's the takeaway from this podcast.
Yeah, that's what we're learning. And that'll average out into being a dull gold all around. That'll join such episodes as Season 1's No Disgrace Like Home, Martin Monroe Electric Shocking Everyone episode.
Oh, we're familiar.
Dr. Martin Monroe.
That was a great Danny DeVito.
Your Monroe is getting a little snakier each time.
Yeah, it is. It is. Dr. Marvin Monroe. Because my throat's been sore for 2 years.
Yeah. Have you done anything about that yet?
What, you mean like see a doctor?
Yeah.
No.
Okay, fair enough.
Because I'm a fucking idiot.
Well, no, because you want to do a good Dr. Marvin Monroe impression.
Dr. Marvin Monroe.
See? Oh.
Hey.
And also another dull gold, Homer versus Lisa in The Eighth Commandment.
Oh, yeah.
Selma's Choice, the Duff Gardens episode, Homer to the Max Power, Simple Simpson when Homer becomes Pie Man, that someone ranked a cubic, Sheridan.
Looking at you, Sheridan.
Come on, Sheridan.
Who do you think you are, named after linen? It's a brand of sheets called Sheridan, I think.
There are. And it'll also be joining The Good and Sad and the Drugly from Season 20, which I quite enjoyed myself. Yeah, that seems to be a good spot for it. All right, guys. Well, I think that wraps it up for the Simpsons Index. Yeah, thank you for having me out here. This was awesome.
Hey, man, thanks for having us on the show. Thanks for letting us ruin the last 2 hours. We've had a great time.
We didn't talk about Dr. Colossus nearly enough, but other than that...
No, that's a good point.
Well, if you want to hear these guys talk more about Dr. Colossus, go check out Pods in the Key of Springfield. They can find that on all the platforms, right?
Yep. All the places.
Yep, and what's the Twitter handle and Facebook stuff?
Key Springfield is the Twitter handle.
Yep.
Pods in the Key of Springfield's the Facebook. I'm Jickle, whatever, on Twitter, Jickle.
And I'm Nick Ibis on Twitter, Nickibis.
Is that your last name, or do you just love Ibises?
No, Ibis was a previous, it was the name of a band I was in previously.
Oh, okay.
And so when I got Twitter, I set it up as that handle, and I've never changed it.
Ah, fair enough. And yeah, I'm at Elliot J. O'Neill on Twitter, at Simpsons Index, and yeah, that has been episode 66, and that's all the mustard in the house! Thank you for checking out the Simpsons Index podcast. Don't forget to go to www.thesimpsonsindex.com for the spreadsheet and information about upcoming episodes.
And for today's extra content...
Oh yeah, even if it's a bit quiet, the waveforms are looking big enough, so...
All right.
Ready to roll.
Ready to roll. I love it when the waveforms are looking big enough.
Actually, I might just get another beer.
Yeah, man.
All right.
Anyone else?
Yeah, I'll go in.
Yeah, I'd like one.
Yeah, girl.
Yeah.
After that,
I'm glad to know that you do exactly what I do, which is start recording and then go, oh no, fuck, I've got other tasks I need to complete. I like your book, man.
Me too.
It's a Zelda book thing.
Yeah. Man, I lost a month to Breath of the Wild earlier this year.
Right.
I've been openly calling Breath of the Wild the best game ever made, which is a fairly big statement for me to be making. I
don't know, man. Have you given Trouble a go? The one with the...
I've given Trouble a shot.
The bouncy dice? Right. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty good.
Yeah.
It's definitely a two-horse
Got
race
that
between Trouble and Zelda.
It's got that satisfying pop that most games lack.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, does Breath of the Wild have a pop? No.
No. Actually, the dice rolling device's name is Link, not Trouble.
All right.
Actually, the princess's name is Frankenstein.
It's Frankenstein's Zelda.
I was like, yeah, they were just like home economic tips. And now we've had to rebrand them as life hacks.
Man hacks. Oh, don't get me started on the word man cave as well.
It's bullshit.
Oh, it's literally the worst, isn't it?
Because my brother as well, he's got a big sign, welcome to my man cave. And it's like you're welcoming me to your butt. That's what it sounds like to me. I hear man cave, I think butt.
Welcome to my butt.
My loved ones are not allowed in here. I need respite from them.
Yeah.
Butt cave.
Butt cave.
All right, I just need a couple of seconds to consolidate my notes.
Yo.
The part that usually gets cut out.
Leave it in, I say.
We should say the funniest thing at this point.
Woozle wuzzle.
I was thinking the other day, remember in 2005 when everyone used to say hella?
Yeah.
Yeah, it just
That
popped
was hella good.
I never stopped, baby.
it just popped into my head and I was like, oh yeah, we used to say hella everything. What happened to that? I think Gwen Stefani stopped releasing singles and that's why no one says it anymore.
That shit was bananas. B-A-A-N-A.
That's it. Yeah, hella good went out and so did No Doubt, and then it was all about Gwen Stefani and bananas.
Gwen Stefani and bananas.
And her series of songs about, like, keeping Japanese slaves. As far as I can tell, that's what her music is about.
Man, I didn't dive into the lyrics that deeply. Wow.
All right, Harajuku girls, I've got them. I don't want to say I've got them chained up in the basement.
So dark.
Also, I noticed the yellow...
Sad song go again. I should know that.
Don't take the. Let's keep them.
We won't take the.
Ba, 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 ba.
Yes, let's keep the pods.
Pods.
When Jekyll first stuck pods in that track, he sent it to me in a Facebook Messenger, and I was grinning for days.
Yeah, because you had a whole plan to like record an original song.
Yeah, no, I was going to do an acoustic cover of it, but your version was so much better than anything I would have been able to do. What?
It's a Star Wars.
Oh, just the one.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Go out and see a Star Wars.
Oh, I'd rather not.
Well, yeah, I mean, I only saw them for the first time when I was like 22 or something.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I was very late to the party.
I enjoy that there was an early piece of feedback we got on the podcast where someone sent James a message just saying, so does Nick just like not watch movies? Yep, pretty much.
Well, no, that was me as well. Like, I had a blog a few years ago that was My Name is Elliot. You know, my name is Earl.
Oh, yeah.
And it was me making up for the fact that I'd never seen like a whole heap of classic movies.
Right.
And so, in that, I finally got round to seeing like Star Wars and Indiana Jones and Godfather and just all these classics. Because I'm just not much of a movie guy. I'm just more into TV, honestly.
I'm not into anything. That's my problem.
You got a lot of Simpsons DVDs. You into those?
Yeah, I'm into that. And I mean, that's...
Beatles. Holy shit, is that Samurai... Oh, man, that's awesome. You got a Samurai Pizza Cats box set.
Yeah, my sister gave me that for my birthday last year, as well as the hand-drawn Cypher map. Last year was a good year for birthday presents from her. Maybe Samurai Pizza Cats was Christmas, actually. Doesn't really matter. No, I tend to watch cooking shows and nothing else.
Yep.
Mm.
Good old Food Network. Do you like Chopped? I love Chopped.
Chopped.
Like Cutthroat Kitchen.
Yeah, you were talking about Cutthroat Kitchen the other day.
What do they do on that one?
It's a competition show where you can pay money to sabotage your opponents.
What?
It's great. It's very fun.
First you get the money.
You can bid some money to like make one of them like run on a treadmill while they're cooking, or they have to do everything with like tiny utensils, or like with a traffic cone over their head or something.
Yeah.
First you get the money, then you get the power, then you can make your opponent run on a treadmill the whole time they're cooking.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It could be like, they asked to make like a chicken parmigiana, but it's like, all right, so you have to use a canned chicken. It's great.
Oh, fuck. One of the Steve Bannon chickens.
He does look like a canned chicken.
Oh, have you seen that side-by-side picture of him?
No.
There's somewhere on the internet. There's a side-by-side picture of Steve Bannon and a canned chicken. It's horrendous.
All right, just need a couple of seconds to consolidate.
Consolidating the notes.
Gotta consolidate.
Gotta consolidate before we rate it.
Wow.
Stop, consolidate, and listen.
All right, stop. Consolidate and listen. Simpsons Index is back with a brand new invention.
What if The Simpsons still on television?
And it sounds like a cantankerous cat. Oh, I need my headphones.
Never mind. Sorry, I was going to plug my other shit, but it's not even out yet.
Sweet. So that was weird because when you said never mind, I thought you said I have no mud, and I was like, what?
Well, you can have some of mine.
Pocket mud.
I've got a whole pocket full.
Do you want any cream with that?
No.